Vaisambhayana said, thus conversing with Sanat Sujata and the learned Vidura, the king passed that night, and after the night had passed away, all the princes and chiefs entered the court hall with joyous hearts and desirous of seeing that suitor, and anxious to hear the message of Partiha, fraught with virtue and profit. All the kings with Dhritarashtra at their head went to that beautiful hall, spotlessly white and spacious. It was adorned with a golden floor, and effulgent as the moon, and exceedingly beautiful. It was sprinkled over with sandal water, and it was spread over with excellent seats made of gold and wood, and marble and ivory, and all the seats were wrapped with excellent covers, and Bhisma, and Drona, and Kripa, and Salia, and Kritavarman, and Jayadratha, and Asvatihama, and Vikarna, and Somadatta, and Valhika, and Vidura of great wisdom, and Yuyutsu, the great cow warrior, all these heroic kings in a body, having Dhritarashtra at their head, entered that hall of great beauty, and Dusasana, and Hitrasena, and Sakuni, the son of Suvala, and Durmukha, and Dusaha, Karna, and Uluka, and Vivingsati. These also with Duryodhana, the wrathful king of the Kurus, at their head, entered that hall, like the celestials forming the train of Sakra himself, and filled with these heroes, possessed of arms like maces of iron. That hall looked like a mountain cave filled with lions, and all these mighty bowmen, endowed with great energy and blazing with solar effulgence, entering the hall, seated themselves on those beautiful seats. And after all those kings had taken their seats, the orderly in waiting announced the arrival of the Sutta son, saying, Yonder cometh the car that was dispatched to the Pandavas. Our envoy hath returned quickly, by the aid of well-trained steeds of the Sindhu breed. And having approached the place with speed, and alighted from the car, Sanjaya, adorned with earrings, entered that hall full of high-souled kings, and the Sutta said, Ye Kauravas, know that, having gone to the Pandavas, I am just returning from them. The sons of Pandu offered their congratulations to all the Kurus according to the age of each. Having offered their respects in return, the sons of Pritha have saluted the aged ones, and those that are equal to them in years, and those also that are younger, just as each should, according to his years, be saluted. Listen, ye kings, to what are instructed before by Dhritarashtra, said to the Pandavas, having gone to them from this place. Dhritarashtra said, I ask thee, in the presence of my boy and of these kings, what words were said by the illustrious Dhananjaya of might that knoweth no diminution, that leader of warriors, that destroyer of the lives of the wicked. Sanjaya said, Let Duryodhana listen to the words which the high-souled Arjuna, eager for fight, uttered, with Yudhishthira sanction, and in the hearing of Kesava. Fearless and conscious of the might of his arms, the heroic Kiriti, eager for fight, spoke thus unto me in the presence of Vasudeva. Do thou say unto Dhritarashtra son, in the presence of all the Kurus, and also in the hearing of that Sutta son, of foul tongue and wicked soul, of little sense, stupid reason, and of numbered days, who always desires to fight against me, and also in the hearing of those kings assembled for fighting against the Pandavas, and do thou see that all the words now uttered by me are heard well by that king with his counselors. Continued Sanjaya, even as the celestials eagerly listened to the words of their chief armed with the thunderbolt. So did the Pandavas and the Srinjayas listen to those words of grave import uttered by Kiriti. Just these are the words spoken by Arjuna, the elder of Gandiva, eager for the fight and with eyes red as the lotus. If the Dhritarashtra's son doth not surrender to King Yudhishthira of the Ajamida race, his kingdom, then there must be some sinful act committed by the sons of Dhritarashtra, whose consequences are yet unheaped by them, for it can be nothing else when they desire battle with Bhishmasena and Arjuna, and the Asvins, and Vasudeva, and Sinison, and the Hiristariumna, infallibly in arms, and Sikhihanding, and Yudhishthira, who is like Indra himself, and who can consume heaven and earth by merely wishing them ill. If the Dhritarashtra's son desireth war with these, then will all objects of the Pandavas be accomplished. Do not, therefore, propose peace for the sons of Pandu, but have war if thou likest. That bed of war in the woods, which was Yudhishthira when that virtuous son of Pandu lived in exile, let a more painful bed than that on the bare earth be now, Duryodhana, and let him lie down on it, as his last, deprived of life. Win thou over those men that were ruled by the wicked Duryodhana of unjust conduct to the side of Pandu's son, and with modesty and wisdom and asceticism and self-restraint and valor and might regulated by virtue, and with humility and righteousness, with asceticism and self-restraint, and with valor regulated by virtue, and always speaking the truth, or a king, though afflicted by numerous deceptions, have forgiven all and have patiently borne great wrongs. When the eldest son of Pandu, also under proper control, will indignantly dart at the Kurus his terrible wrath accumulated for years, then will the son of Dhritarashtra repent for this war, as a blazing fire burning all around consumeth dry grass in the hot season. So will Yudhishthira, inflamed with wrath, consume the Dhritarashtra host by glance alone of his eye, when Dhritarashtra's son will behold Bhishmasena, that wrathful Pandava of terrific impetus, stationed on his car, mace in hand, vomiting the venom of his wrath, then will Duryodhana repent for this war. When he will behold Bhishmasena, who always fighteth in the van, accoutred in mail, scarcely capable of being looked at even by his own followers, filling hostile heroes and devastating the enemy's ranks like Yama himself, then will the exceedingly vain Duryodhana recollect these words, when he will behold the elephants, looking like mountain peaks, felled by Bhishmasena, blood flowing their broken heads like water from broken casks. Then will Dhritarashtra's son repent for this war, when hailing upon the sons of Dhritarashtra, the fierce Bhishma of terrible mien, mace in hand, will slaughter them like a hog lion falling upon a head of kine. Then will Duryodhana repent for this war, when the heroic Bhishma, undaunted even in situations of great danger, and is skilled in weapons, when that grinder of hostile hosts in battle, mounted on his car, and alone will crush by his mace crowds of superior cars, and entire ranks of infantry, seized by his nooses, strong as iron, the elephants of the hostile arm, and mow down the Dhritarashtra host, like a stout woundsman cutting a forest down with an axe. Then will Dhritarashtra's son repent for this war, when he will behold the Dhritarashtra host, consumed like a hamlet full of straw-built huts by fire, or a field of heaped corn by lightning, when he will behold his vast arm scattered, its leaders slain, and men running away with their backs towards the field afflicted with fear, and all the warriors, humbled to the dust, being scorched by Bhishmasena with the fire of his weapons. Then will the son of Dhritarashtra repent for this war, when Nakula, that warrior of wonderful feats, that foremost of all car warriors, dexterously shooting arrows by hundreds, will mangle the car warriors of Duryodhana. Then will the son of Dhritarashtra repent for this war, accustomed to enjoy all the comforts and luxuries of life, when Nakula, recollecting that bed of war on which he had slept for a long time in the woods, will vomit the poison of his wrath like an angry snake. Then will the son of Dhritarashtra repent for this war, ready to lay down their very lives. The monarchs, urged to battle by King Yudhishthira the Just, will furiously advance on their resplendent cars against the army. Beholding this, the son of Dhritarashtra will certainly have to repent, when the Kuru prince will behold the 5 heroic sons of tender in years, but not in acts, and are well versed in arms, whose, reckless of their lives, against the Kauravas, then will that son of Dhritarashtra repent for this war, when bent upon carnage Sahadeva, mounted on his car of noiseless wheels, and motion incapable of being obstructed, and set with golden stars, and drawn by well-trained steeds, will make the heads of monarchs roll on the field of battle with volleys of arrows. Beholding that warrior skilled in weapons, seated on his car in the midst of that frightful havoc, turning now to the left and now to the right, and falling upon the foe in all directions, then will the son of Dhritarashtra repent for this war, when the modest but mighty Sahadeva, skilled in battle, truthful, conversant with all the ways of morality, and endowed with great activity and impetuousness, will fall upon the son of Gandhihari in fierce encounter and rout all his followers. Then will the son of Dhritarashtra repent for this war, when he will behold the sons of Draupadi, those great bowmen, those heroes, skilled in weapons and well versed in all the ways of chariot fighting, dart at the foe like snakes of virulent poison. Then will the son of Dhritarashtra repent for this war, when that slayer of hostile heroes, Abhimanyu, skilled in arms like Krishna himself, will overpower the foe, showering upon them, like the very clouds, a thick downpour of arrows. Then will the son of Dhritarashtra repent for this war, when he will behold that son of Subhadra, a child in years, but not in energy, skilled in weapons, and like unto Indra himself, falling like death self upon the hands of the foe. Then will the son of Dhritarashtra repent for this war, when the youthful Prabhadrakas, endowed with great activity, well versed in battle, and possessed of the energy of lions, will overthrow the sons of Dhritarashtra with all their troops. Then will Duryodhana repent for this war, when those veteran car warriors, Virata and Drupada, will assail at the head of their respective divisions the sons of Dhritarashtra and their hanks. Then will Duryodhana repent for this war, when Drupada, skilled in weapons, and seated on his car, desirous of plucking the heads of youthful warriors, will wrathfully strike them off with arrows shot from his bow. Then will the son of Dhritarashtra repent for this war. When that slayer of hostile heroes, Virata, will penetrate into the ranks of the foe, gliding out before him with the aid of his mighty warrior of cool courage. Then will the son of Dhritarashtra repent for this war. When he will behold in the very van the else son of the Matisia king, of cool courage and collected mien, seated on his car and accoutred in mail on behalf of the Pandavas. Then will the son of Dhritarashtra repent for this war. I tell thee truly that, when that foremost of Kaurava heroes, the virtuous son of Santanu, will be slain in battle by Sikhi-handing, then our foes, without doubt, will perish. When overthrowing numerous car warriors, Sikhi-handing, seated on his own well-protected car, will proceed towards Bhisma, crushing multitudes of cars by means of his own powerful steeds. Then will the son of Dhritarashtra repent for this war, when he will behold Dhristaryumna, unto whom Drona have imparted all the mysteries of the science of weapons, stationed in splendor in the very van of Srinjaya hangs. Then will the son of Dhritarashtra repent, when the leader of the Pandava host of immeasurable prowess and capable of withstanding the rush of any force will proceed to attack Drona in battle, crushing with his arrows the Dhritarashtra hangs. Then will Duryodhana repent for this war. What enemy can withstand him who hath for fighting in his van, that lion of the Vrishni haste, the chief of the Somakas, who is modest and intelligent, might and endowed with great energy, and blessed with every kind of prosperity. Say also this, do not cover. We have chosen for our leader the dauntless and mighty warrior Satyaki, the grandson of Sini, skilled in weapons, and having none on earth as his equal, of broad chest and long arms, that grinder of foes, unrivaled in battle, and acquainted with the best of weapons, the grandson of Sini, skilled in arms and perfectly dauntless, is a mighty warrior, yielding a bow of full 4 cubits length. When that slayer of foes, that chief of the Sinis, urged by me, will shower, like the very clowns, his arrows on the foe, completely overwhelming their leads with that downpour, then will the son of Dhritarashtra repent for this war. When that illustrious warrior of long arms and firm grasp of the bow musters his resolution for fight, the foe then, like Cain getting the scent of the lion, fly away from him before even commencing the encounter. That illustrious warrior of long arms and firm grasp of the bow is capable of splitting the very hills and destroying the entire universe, practiced in weapons, skilled, and endowed with exceeding lightness of hand. He shineth on the field of battle like the sun himself in the sky. That lion of the Vrishni haste, that Sion of Yadu line of superior training, have diverse wonderful and excellent weapons. Satyaki is possessed of a knowledge of all those uses of weapons that are said to be of the highest excellence. When he will behold in battle the golden car of Satyaki of Madhu haste, drawn by 4 white steeds, then will that wretch of uncontrolled passions, the son of Dhritarashtra, repent. when he will behold my terrible car endowed with the effulgence of gold and bright gems, drawn by white steeds, and furnished with the banner bearing the device of the ape, and guided by Kesaba himself, then will that wretch of uncontrolled passions repent, when he will hear the fierce twang produced by the constant stretch of the bowstring with fingers cased in leathern gloves, that terrible twang, loud as the rolling of the thunder of my bogan diva, yielded by me in the midst of the great battle. Then will that wicked wretch, the son of Dhritarashtra, repent, beholding himself abandoned by his troops, flying away like Cain from the field of battle in all directions, overwhelmed with the darkness created by my arrowy downpour. When he will behold innumerable keen-edged arrows, furnished with beautiful wings, and capable of penetrating into the very vitals, shot from the string of Gandiva, like fierce and terrible flashes of lightning emitted by the clouds, destroying enemies by thousands, and devouring numberless steeds and elephants clad in mail. Then will the son of Dhritarashtra repent for this war, when he will behold the arrows shot by the enemy turned off, or turned back, struck by my shafts, or cut to pieces, pierced transversely by my arrows. Then will the foolish son of Dhritarashtra repent for this war, when broad-headed arrows shot by my hands will strike off the heads of youthful warriors, like birds picking off fruits from the treetops. Then will the son of Dhritarashtra repent for this war, when he will behold excellent warriors of his falling down from their cars, and elephants and steeds rolling on the field, deprived of life by my arrows. Then will the son of Dhritarashtra repent for this war, when he will behold his brothers, even before fairly coming within the range of the enemy weapons, die around without having achieved anything in battle. Then will the son of Dhritarashtra repent for this war, when pouring my blazing shafts incessantly, I will, like death himself, with mouth wide open, destroy on all sides multitudes of cars and foot soldiers. Then will that wretch repent, when he will behold his own troops, covered with the dust raised by my car, wander in all directions, torn to pieces by Gandiva and bereft of senses. Then will that wretch repent, when he will behold his whole arm running away in fear in all directions, mangled in limbs and bereft of senses, when he will behold his steeds, elephants, and foremost of heroes slain, when he will see his troops thirsty, struck with panic, wailing aloud, dead and dying, with their animals exhausted, and hair, bones, and skulls lying in heaps around like half-wrought works of the Creator. Then will that wretch repent, when he will behold on my car Gandiva, Vasudeva, and the celestial conch Pankhajanya, myself, my couple of inexhaustible keepers, and my conch called Devadatta, as also my white steeds. Then will the son of Dhritarashtra repent for this war, when I consume the Kauravas like Agni, consuming innumerable wicked souls assembled together at the time of Usharing in another yuga, at the end of the last one. Then Dhritarashtra, with all his sons, repent, when the wicked, hurted, and the wrathful son of Dhritarashtra will be deprived of prosperity with brothers and arms and followers. Then, bereft of pride and losing heart and trembling all over, will that fool repent. On morning, when I had finished my water hits and prayers, a Brahmana spoke unto me these pleasant words: Thou shalt have to execute a very difficult task. Thou shalt have to fight with thy foes, Ada, Indra riding on his excellent steed, and thunderbolt in hand, will walk before thee, slaying thy foes impatiently. Or Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, will protect thee from behind, riding on his car, drawn by the steeds headed by Sugriva. Relying on those words, I have, indisputably, passing over Indra, the Yada of the thunderbolt, preferred Vasudeva as my ally. That Krishna hath been obtained by me for the destruction of those wicked ones. I see the hand of the gods in all these. The person whose success is only wished for by Krishna, without the latter actually taking up arms in his behalf, is certain to prevail over our enemies, even if those be the celestials with Indra at their head, while anxious there is none if they be human. He that wisheth to conquer impatiently that foremost of heroes, Vasudeva's son, Krishna, endowed with great energy, wisheth to cross by his two arms alone the great ocean of wide expanse and immeasurably wider. He that wisheth to split by slap of his palm the high Kailasa mountain is not able to do the slightest damage to the mountain, outhog his hand on with its nails is sure to wear away. He that would conquer Vasudeva impatiently, wound with his two arms, extinguish a blazing fire, stop the sun and the moon, and plunder by force the Amrita of the gods. That Vasudeva, who, having mowed down impatiently by main force all the royal warriors of the Pihoja race, had carried off on a single car Hukimini of great fame for making her his wife, and by her was afterwards born Pradyumna of high soul. It was this favorite of the gods, who, having speedily smashed the Gandhiharas and conquered all the sons of Naginajit, forcibly liberated from confinement King Sudarsana of great energy. It was he that slew King Pandiva by striking his breast against his, and moved out the Kalingas impatiently. Burnt by him, the seat of Varanasi remained for many years without a king, incapable of being defeated by others. Ekalavya, the king of the Nishadas, always used to challenge this on to battle, but slain by Krishna, he lay dead like the Asura Jambiha, violently thrashed on a hillock. It was Krishna who, having Baladeva for his second, slew Ugrasena wicked son, seated in court in the midst of the Frishnis and the Andihakas, and then gave unto Ugrasena the kingdom. It was Krishna who fought with King Salva, the lord of Saubiha, stationed in the skies, fearless in consequence of his powers of illusion. And it was he who, at the gate of Saubiha, caught with his hands the fierce Satagini. What mortal is able to bear his might? The Asuras had a seat named Pragoitisha, which was formidable, inaccessible, and unbearable. It was there that the mighty Naraka, the son of the earth, kept the jeweled earrings of Aditi, having brought them by force. The very gods who, fearless of death, assembled together with Sakra at their head, were incapable of conquering him, beholding Kesava prowess and might and weapon that is irresistible, and knowing the object of his birth, the gods employed him for the destruction of those Asuras. Vasudeva, endowed with all the divine attributes that ensure success, agreed to undertake that exceedingly difficult task. In the seat of Nirmokhana, that hero slew 6,000 Asuras, and cutting into pieces innumerable keen-edged shafts, he slew Mura and hosts of Hakishasas, and then entered that city. It was there that an encounter took place between the mighty Naraka and Vishnu of immeasurably strength. Slain by Krishna, Naraka lay lifeless there, like a carnicara tree uprooted by the wind. Having slain the earth son, Naraka, and also Mura, and having recovered those jeweled earrings, the learned Krishna of unparalleled prowess came back, adorned with beauty and undying fame. Having witnessed his terrible fears in that battle, the gods then and there blessed him, saying, Fatigue will never be thine in fights, neither the firmament nor the waters shall stop thy course, nor shall weapons penetrate thy body. And Krishna, by all these, regarded himself amply rewarded, immeasurably, and possessed of great might. In Vasudeva ever exist all the virtues, and yet the son of Dhritarashtra seeketh to vanquish that unbearable Vishnu of infinite energy, for that wretch often thinks of imprisoning him. Krishna, however, beareth all these for our sake only. That wretch seeketh to create sudden disunion between Krishna and myself. How far he is capable of taking away the affection of Krishna from the Pandavas, he will see on the field of battle. Having bowed down unto Santanu's son, and Drona with his son, and the unrivaled son of Saradivat, I shall fight for regaining our kingdom. The God of justice himself, I am sure, will bring destruction on that sinful man who will fight with the Pandavas. The sage fully defeated at dice by those wretches, ourselves of royal birth, had to pass 12 years in great distress in the forest, and on long year in a state of concealment. When those Pandavas are still alive, how shall the sons of Dhritarashtra rejoice, possessing rank and affluence? If they vanquish us in fight, aided by the very gods, headed by Indra, then practice of vice won't be better than virtue, and surely there won't be nothing like righteousness on earth. If man is affected by his acts, if we be superior to Duryodhana, then I hope that, with Vasudeva as my second, I shall slay Duryodhana with all his kinsmen. If the act of robbing us of our kingdom be wicked, if these our own good deeds be not fruitless, then beholding both this and that, it seems to me the overthrow of Duryodhana is certain. Ye Kauravas, ye will see it with your eyes. If they fight, the sons of Dhritarashtra shall certainly perish. If they act otherwise, instead of fighting, then they may live. But in the event of a battle ensuing, none of them will be left alive. Slaying all the sons of Dhritarashtra, along with carne, I shall surely wrest the whole of their kingdom. Do ye, meanwhile, whatever ye think best, and enjoy your wives and other sweet things of life. There are with us men-aged Brahmanas versed in various sciences of amiable behavior, well born, acquainted with the cycle of the years, engaged in the study of astrology, capable of understanding with certainty the motions of planets and the conjunctions of stars, as also of explaining the mysteries of fate, and answering questions relating to the future, acquainted with the signs of the zodiac, and versed with the occurrences of every hour, who are propensing the great destruction of the Kurus and the Serinjayas, and the ultimate victory of the Pandavas, so that Yudhishthira, who never made an enemy, already regardeth his objects fulfilled in consequence of the slaughter of his foes, and Janardana, that lie among the Vrishnis, and that with the knowledge of the invisibly future, without doubt, beholdeth all these, and also with unerring foresight, myself behold that future, for that foresight of mine, a creed of old, is not obstructed. The sons of Dhritarashtra, if they fight, will not live. My bow, Gandiva, Yalnef, without being handled, my bowstring trembleth without being stretched, and my arrows also, ensuing from my quivers, mouth, are again and again seeking to fly. My bright scimitar ensueth of itself from its sheath, like a snake quitting its own one-off slug, and on the top of my flagstaff are heard terrific voices. When shall thy car be yoked? Innumerable jackals set up hideous holes at night, and hakishasas frequently alight from the sky. Deer and jackals and peacocks, crows and vultures and cranes and wolves and birds of golden plumage follow in the rear of my car when my white steeds are yoked unto it. Single-handed, I can dispatch with arrowy showers our warlike kings to the regions of death. As a blazing fire consumeth a forest in the hot season, so exhibiting diverse courses, I will hurl those great weapons called Sitihur Karna, Pasupata, and Brahma, and all those that Sakra gave me, of which are endowed with fierce impetuosity, and with their aid setting my heart on the destruction of those monarchs, I will leave no remnant of those that come to the field of battle. I will haste, having done all this. Even this is my chief and decided resolve. Tell them this. Look at the folly of Duryodhana. They that are invincibly in battle, even if encountered with the aid of the very gods, headed by Indra. Even against them that son of Dhritarashtra thinketh of warring. Let it be even as the aged Bhisma, the son of Santanu, and Kripa, and Drona with his son, and Vidura, endowed with great wisdom, are saying, May the Kauravas all live long. Vaisampayana saith, in the midst of all those assembled kings, Bhisma, the son of Santanu, then saith these words unto Duryodhana. Once on a time, Vrihaspati and Sakra went to Brahma, the Maruts with Indra, the Vasus with Agni, the Adityas, the Sadhiyas, the seven celestial rishis, the Gandharvas, Visvavasu, and the beautiful tribes of the Apsaras, approached the ancient grandsire. And having bowed down unto that Lord of the universe, all those dwellers of heaven sat around him. Just then the two ancient deities, the rishis Nara and Narayana, as if drawing unto themselves by their own energy the minds and energies of all who were present there, left the place. Thereupon Vrihaspati asked Brahma, saying, Who are these two that leave the place without worshipping thee? Tell us, who are they? Thus asked, Brahma said, These two, endowed with ascetic merit, blazing with effulgence and beauty, illuminating both the earth and the heaven, possessed of great might, and pervading and surpassing all, are Nara and Narayana, dwelling now in the region of Brahman, having arrived from the other world, and with great might and prowess they shine in consequence of their own asceticism. By their acts they always contribute to the joy of the world, worshipped by the gods and the Gandharvas, They exist only for the destruction of asuras. Having heard these words, Sakra went to the spot where those two were practicing ascetic austerities, accompanied by all the celestials and having Vrihaspati at their head. At that time, the dwellers of heaven had been very much alarmed in consequence of a war hanging between themselves and the Asuras, and Indra asked that illustrious Kopli to grant him a boon. Thus solicited, those two said, "Name thou the boon." Upon this, Sakra said unto them, "Give us your aid." They then said unto Sakra, "We will do what thou wishest." And then it was with their aid that Sakra subsequently vanquished the Daitiyas and the Danavas. The chastiser of foes, Nara, slew impately hundreds and thousands of Indra foes among the Paulomas and the Kalakanjas. It was this Arjuna who, riding on a whirling car, severed impatily with a broad-headed arrow the head of the Asura Jambiha, while the latter was about to swallow him. It was he who afflicted the Daitya seat of Hiranyapura on the other side of the ocean, having vanquished impatily 60,000 of Nivatakavakas. It was this conqueror of hostile towns, this Arjuna of mighty arms, that gratified Agni, having vanquished the very gods with Indra at their head. And Narayana have in this world destroyed in the same way numberless other Daitiyas and Danavas. Even such are those two of might energy that are now seen united with each other. It hath been heard by us that the two heroic and mighty warriors, Vasudeva and Arjuna, that are now united with each other, are those same ancient gods, the divine Nara and Narayana. Amongst all on earth, they are incapable of being vanquished by the Asuras and the gods headed by Indra himself. That Narayana is Krishna and that Nara is Falguna. They are also born in twain. These two, by their acts, enjoy numerous eternal and inexhaustible regions, and are repeatedly born in those wars when destructive wars are necessary. For this reason, their mission is to fight. Just this is what Narada, conversant with the Vedas, had said unto the Vrishnis. When thou wilt see Kesava with conch shell and discus, and mace in hand, and that terrible wielder of the bow, Arjuna, armed with weapons, when thou wilt behold those eternal and illustrious ones, the two Krishnas, seated on the same car, then wilt thou remember these my words. Why should not such danger threaten the Kurus when thy intellect have fallen off from both prophecy and virtue? If thou heedest not my words, thou shalt then have to hear of the slaughter of many, for all the Kauravas accept thy opinion. Thou art alone in holding as true the opinion of only 3 persons: Karna, a low-born Sutta son, cursed by Hama, Sakuni, the son of Suvala, and thy mean and sinful brother Dusasana. Karna said, "It behoveth thee not to use such words towards me, for I have adopted the duties of the Kshatriya order without falling off from those of my own. Besides, what wickedness is there in me? I have no sin known to any one of Dhritarashtra people. I have never done any injury to Dhritarashtra's son. On the other hand, I will slay all the Pandavas impatiently. How can they that are wise make peace again with those that have before been injured? It is always my duty to do all that is agreeable to King Dhritarashtra, and especially to Duryodhana, for he is in possession of the kingdom. Having listened to these words of carne, Bhisma, the son of Santanu, addressing King Dhritarashtra, again said, "Our talk this on often boasteth, saying, I shall slay the Pandavas, yet he is not equal to even a 16th part of high-souled Pandavas. Know that the great calamity that is about to overtake thy sons of wicked souls is the act of this wretched son of Asuta. Relying upon him, thy foolish son Suryodhana hath insulted those heroes of celestial descent, those chastisers of our foes. What, however, is that difficult feat achieved by this wretch before, that is equal to any of those achieved of old by every one of the Pandavas? Beholding in the seat of Virata his beloved brother is slain by the Dhananjaya, who displayed such prowess. What did this one then do, when the Dhananjaya, pushing against all the assembled Kurus, crushed them and took away their robes? Was this one not there then, when thy son was being led away as a captive by the Gandharbas on the occasion of the tale of the cattle? Where was the son of Asuta, then, who now belloweth like a bull? Even there it was Bhishma and the illustrious Partha and the twins that encountered the Gandharbas and vanquished them, ever beautiful and always unmindful of both virtue and property. These are the many false things, blessed be thou, that this one uttereth. Having heard these words of Bhisma, the high-souled son of Viharadhivaja, having paid due homage unto Dhritarashtra and the assembled kings, he spoke unto him these words: "Do that which the best of the Bharatas, Bhisma, have said. It behoveth thee not to act according to the words of those that are covetous of wealth. Peace with the Pandavas before the war breaks out seems to be the best. Everything said by Arjuna and repeated here by Sanjaya will, I know, be accomplished by that son of Pandu, for there is no bowman equal unto him in the three worlds." Without regarding, however, these words spoken by both Drona and Bhisma, the king again asked Sanjaya about the Pandavas. From that moment, when the king returned not a proper answer to Bhisma and Drona, the Kauravas gave up all hopes of life. Dhritarashtra said, "What did that Pandava king, the son of Dharma, say? After hearing that a large force have been assembled here for gladiating us, how also is Yudhishthira acting in view of the coming strike? Who amongst his brothers and sons are looking up to his face, desirous of receiving his orders? Provoked as he is by the deceptions of my wicked sons, who again are dissuading that king of virtuous behavior and conversant with virtue, saying, 'Have peace.'" Sanjaya said, "All the Pankhalas, along with the other sons of Pandu, are looking up to Yudhishthira's face. Blessed be thou, and he is restraining them all. Multitudes of cars belonging to the Pandavas and the Pankhalas are coming in separate bodies for gladiating Yudhishthira, the son of Kunti, ready to march to the field of battle. As the sky brightens up at the advent of the rising sun, so the Pankhalas are rejoicing at their union with Kunti's son of blazing splendor, rising like a flood of light. The Pankhalas, the Kekayas, and the Matsiyas, along with the very herdsmen that attend on their kine and sheep, are rejoicing and gladiating Yudhishthira, the son of Pandu. Brahman and Kshatriya girls and the very doctors of the Vaishyas, in large number, are coming in playful mode for beholding Partha, acculturated in court of mail. Dhritarashtra said, "Tell us of the forces of Dhritarashtra, as also of the Somakas and of our others, with which the Pandavas intend to fight with us." Thus interrogated, in the midst of the Kurus, and in their very hall, the son of Gavalgani became thoughtful for a moment, and seemed to draw repeatedly deep and long sighs, and suddenly he fell down in a swoon without any apparent reason. Then in that assembly of kings Vidura said loudly, "Sanjaya have fallen down on the ground senseless and cannot utter a word, bereft of sense and his intellect clouded." Dhritarashtra said, "Without doubt, Sanjaya, having seen those mighty warriors, the sons of Kunti, have his mind filled with great anxiety in consequence of those tigers among men." Having recovered consciousness and been comforted, Sanjaya addressed King Dhritarashtra in the midst of that concourse of Kurus in that hall, saying, "I saw those great warriors, the sons of Kunti, thined in body, in consequence of the restraint in which they had lived in the place of the king of the Matsyaas. Here with whom the Pandavas will contend against you, with that hero Dhritarashtra as their ally, they will fight against you, with that personage of virtuous soul, who never forsaketh truth, through anger or fear, temptation, or for the sake of wealth, of disputation, and who is a very authority in matter of religion, himself being the best of those that practice virtue, with him who have never made an enemy, the sons of Pandu will fight against you. He unto whom no one on earth is equal in might of arms, and who, yielding his bow, had brought our kings under subjection, and who, vanquishing of old the people of Kasi and Anga and Magadha, as also the Kalingas, with that Bhishmasena will the sons of Pandu fight against you. He, through whose might the four sons of Pandu quickly called a light on the earth, having issued forth from the house of Lak, that son of Kunti, Vrikodara, who became the means of their rescue from the cannibal Hirinva, that son of Kunti, Vrikodara, who became their refuge when the daughter of Yajnasena was being carried away by Jayadratha, with that Bhima, who rescued the assembled Pandavas from the conflagration at Varanavata. Even with him will they fight against you. He who, for the gratification of Krishna, slew the Krodhihavasas, having penetrated the rugged and terrible mountains of Gandhimadana, he to whose arms have been imparted the might of 10,000 elephants, with that Bhishmasena the Pandavas will fight against you. That hero who, for the gratification of Agni, with Krishna, on for his second, bravely vanquished of yore Purandara in fight, he who gratified by combat that god of gods, the trident-bearing lord of Uma, Mahadeva himself, having the mountains for his abode, that foremost of warriors who subjugated all the kings of the earth with that Vijaya, the Pandavas will encounter you immediately, that wonderful warrior Nakula, who vanquished the whole of the western world, teeming with Mlekhas, is present in the Pandava camp. With that handsome hero, that unrivaled bowman, that son of Madri, the Pandavas will fight against you, he who vanquished in Patli the warriors of Kasi, Anga, and Kalinga, with that Sahadeva will the Pandavas encounter you in Patli. He who in energy have for his equals on four men on earth, as Vatihaman, and Diristaketu, and Hokimi, and Pradyumna, with that Sahadeva, youngest in years, that hero among men, that glad danner of Madri heart. With him will you have a destructive battle. She who, while living of yore as the doctor of the king of Kasi, had practiced the austerest penances. She who, desiring even in a subsequent life to compass the destruction of Bihisma, took her birth as the daughter of Pankhala, and accidentally became afterwards a male, who is conversant with the merits and demerities of both sexes. That invincible prince of the Pankhala, who encountered the Kalingas in Patli, with what sick-handing, skilled in every weapon, the Pandavas will fight against you. She whom Ayakisha for Bihisma destruction metamorphosed into a male, with that formidable bowman the Pandavas will fight against you. With those mighty bowmen, brothers all, those 5 Kekaya princes, with those heroes clad in mail, will the Pandavas fight against you. With that warrior of long arms, and that with great activity in the use of weapons, possessed of intelligence and prowess, incapable of being baffled, with that Yudhihana, the lion of the Frisian haze, will you have to fight. He who had been the refuge of the high-souled Pandavas for a time, with that Virata, ye will have an encounter in Patli, the lord of Kasi, that mighty warrior who lived in Varanasi, have become an ally of theirs. With him will the Pandavas fight against you, the high-souled sons of Draupadi, tender in years, but invincibly in Patli, and unapproachably like snakes of virulent poison. With them will the Pandavas fight against you. He that in energy is like unto Krishna, and in self-restraint unto Yudhishthira. With that Abhimanyu will the Pandavas fight against you. That warlike son of Sisupala, the Ristaketu of great fame, who in energy is beyond comparison, and who, when angry, is incapable of being withstood in Patli. With that king of heads, who has joined the Pandavas at the head of an Akishauhini of his own, will the sons of Pandu fight against you. He that is the refuge of the Pandavas, even as Vasava is of the Celestials. With that Vasudeva will the Pandavas fight against you. He also, Sarabhiha, the brother of the king of the heads, who again is united with Karakarsa. With both these will the Pandavas fight against you. Sahadeva, the son of Jarasandha, and Jayatsena, both unrivaled heroes in Patli, are resolved upon fighting for the Pandavas. And Drupada, possessed of great might, and followed by a large force, and reckless of his life, is resolved to fight for the Pandavas, relying upon these and other kings by hundreds of both the eastern and northern countries. King Yudhishthira, the just, is prepared for battle. Dhritarashtra said, all these named by thee are endowed with great courage, but all of them together are equal to Bhishma singly. My fear from the wrathful Bhishma is very great, like that of a fat deer from an enraged tiger. I pass all my nights in sleeplessness, breathing deep and hot sighs, afraid of Vrikodara, like an animal of any other species, afraid of the lion. of might arms and in energy equal unto Sacra himself. I see not in this whole arm even one that can withstand him impatily, exceedingly wrathful and determined in animosity. That son of Kunti and Pandu smileth not even in jest, is mad with rage, casteth his glances obliquely, and speaketh in a voice of thunder, of great impetuosity and great courage, of long arms and great might. He will not, impatiently, leave even one of my foolish sons alive. Vricodara, that bull among the Kurus, wielding his mace impatiently, will, like a second Yama, mace in hand, slay all my sons who are afflicted by heavy calamity. Even now I see that terrible mace of his, with 8 sides made of steel, and adorned with gold, uplifted like a Brahmana course, as a lion of mighty strength among a flock of deer. Bhishma will hang among my troops. He only always displayed his strength cruel towards my sons, yet in voraciously and endowed with great impetuosity. From his very childhood he hath been behaving inimically towards my children. My heart trembleth, even in their childhood. Duryodhana and other sons of mine, while fighting with him, were always ground down by the elephant-like Bhishma. My sons have always been oppressed by his might, and it is that Bhishma of terrible prowess that hath been the cause of this rupture. Even now I behold Bhishma, mad with rage, fighting in the very van, and devouring the whole of my host, consisting of men, elephants, and steeds, equal unto Drona and Arjuna in weapons, his speed equal unto the velocity of the wind, and in wrath like unto Mahesvara himself, who is there, that wound is laid that wrathful and terrible hero impatiently. I think it to be a great gain that my sons were not even then slain by that slayer of enemies, who is endowed with such energy. How can a human being withstand the impetuosity of that warrior impatiently, who slew Yakishas and Hakishasas of terrible might before? Even in his childhood he was never completely under my control, injured by my wicked sons. How can that son of Pandu come under my control now? Cruel and extremely wrathful, he would break but not bend, of oblique glances and contracted eyebrows. How can he be induced to remain quiet, endowed with heroism, of incomparable might and fair complexion, tall like a palmyra tree, and in height taller than Arjuna by the span of the tomb? The second son of Pandu surpasseth the very steeds in swiftness, and elephants in strength, speaketh in indistinct accents, and possesseth eyes having the hue of honey. As regards form and might, even such was he in his very boyhood, as I truly heard long before from the lips of Vyasa. Terribly and possessed of cruel might, when angry he will destroy immediately with his iron mace cars and elephants and men and horses, by acting against his wishes. That foremost of his meters, who is ever wrathful and furious, hath before been insulted by me. How will my sons bear that mace of his which is strength, made of steel, thick, of beautiful sides, adorned with gold, capable of slaying 100, and producing a terrible sound when hurled at the foe? My foolish sons are desirous of crossing that inaccessible ocean, constituted by Bhishma, which is real shoreless, without a haft on it, immeasurably in depth, and full of currents, impetuous as the course of arrows. Fools in reality talk boasting of their wisdom. My children do not listen to me even talk or cry out, beholding on the honey. They do not see the terrible foul that is before them. They that will hush to battle with death himself in that human shape are certainly doomed to destruction by the supreme ordainer, like animals within the lion wheel, full 4 cubits in length, and with 6 sides and great might, and having a deadly touch. When he will hurl his mace from the sling, how shall my sons bear its impetus? Whirling his mace and breaking therewith the heads of elephants, licking with his tongue the corners of his mouth, and drawing long breaths, when he will rush with loud horns against mighty elephants, returning the yells of those infuriated beasts that might rush against him, and when entering the close array of cars, he will slay, after taking proper aim, the chief warriors before him. What mortal of my part will escape from him, looking like a blazing flame? Crushing my forces and cutting a passage through them, that might armed hero, dancing with mace in hand, will exhibit the scene witness said during the universal dissolution at the end of a yuga, like an infuriated elephant crushing trees adorned with flowers. Vrikodara will impatiently, furiously penetrated the ranks of my sons, depriving my warriors of their cars, drivers, steeds, and flagstaff, and afflicting our warriors fighting from cars and the backs of elephants. The tiger among men will, like the impetuous current of Ganga, throwing down the vast trees standing on its banks, crush impatiently the troops of my sons. Without doubt, afflicted by the fear of Bhimasena, my sons and their dependents and all the allied kings will fly in different directions. It was this Bhima who, having entered of old with Vasudeva Adi, the innermost apartments of Jarasandha, overthrew that king ended with great energy. That lord of Magadha, the mighty Jarasandha, having full brought under his subjection the goddess Earth, oppressed her by his energy. That the Kauravas, in consequence of Bhishma prowess, and the Andihakas and the Vrishnis, in consequence of their policy, could not be subjugated by him, was due only to their good fortune. What could be more wonderful than that? The heroic son of Pandu, of mighty arms and without any weapons, having approached that king, slew him in a trice, like a venomous snake, whose poison hath accumulated for years. Bhima will vomit impatiently the poison of his wrath upon my sons, like the foremost of the celestials, the great Indra is meeting the Danavas with his thunderbolt. Bhimasena will, mace in hand, slay all my sons, incapable of being withstood or resisted, of fierce impetuous and prowess, and with eyes of a coppery hue. Ah, behold, even now, that Vrikodara falling upon my sons, without mace or bow, without car or coat of mail, fighting with his very arms only. What man is there that can stand before him? Bhishma, that regenerate Drona, and Kripa, the son of Saradivat, these are as much acquainted as I myself with the energy of the intelligent Bhishma, acquainted with the praxis of those that are noble and desirous of death impatiently. These bulls among men will take their stand in the van of our arm. Destiny is everywhere powerful, especially in the case of a male person, for beholding the victory of the Pandavas impatiently, I do not yet restrain my sons. This mighty bowmen of mine, desirous of treading in that ancient track leading up to heaven, will lay down their lives impatiently, taking care, however, of earthly fame. My sons are the same to these mighty bowmen as the Pandavas are to them, for all of them are grandsons of Bhishma and disciples of Drona and Kripa. The little acceptable services that we have been able to do unto these three venerable ones will certainly be repaid by them owing to their own noble dispositions. It is said that death in battle of a Kshatriya who have taken up arms and desire to observe Kshatriya praxis is both good and meritorious. I weep for all those that will fight against the Pandavas. That very danger have now come which was foreseen by Vidura at the outset. It seems that wisdom is incapable of dispelling war. On the other hand, it is overwhelming war that dispelleth wisdom, when the very sages that are emancipated from our worldly concerns and that behold, standing aloft, all the affairs of the universe are affected by prosperity and adversity. What wonder is there that I should grieve? Who have my affections fixed on 1,000 things, such as sons, kingdom, wives, grandsons, and relatives. What good can possibly be in store for me on the accession of such a frightful danger? Reflecting on every circumstance, I see the certain destruction of the Kurus. That match at dice seems to be the cause of this great danger of the Kurus. This sin was committed from temptation by foolish Duryodhana, desirous of wealth. I believe all this to be the untoward effect of ever-fleeting time that bringeth on everything. Tied to the well of time, like its periphery, I am not capable of flying away from it. Tell me, where shall I go? What shall I do? And how shall I do it? These foolish Kauravas will all be destroyed, their time having come. Helplessly shall I have to hear the wailing of woman when my 100 sons will be all slain. How may death come upon me, as a blazing fire in the summer season, when ushered by the wind, consumeth dry grass, so will Bhishma, mace in hand, and united with Arjuna, slay all on my side. Dhritarashtra said, he whom we have never heard to speak a falsehood, he who hath the Dhananjaya to fight for him, may have the sovereignty of even the 3 worlds. Reflecting from day to day, I do not find the warrior who may on his car advance impatiently against the elder of Gandiva, when that elder of Gandiva will shoot winged arrows and nalikas and shafts capable of piercing the breasts of warriors. There is no rival of his in battle. If those bulls among men, those heroes, Drona and Karna, those foremost of mighty men, vested in weapons and invincibly in battle, withstand him, the result may be very doubtful, but I am sure that the victory will not be mine. Karna is both compassionate and heedless, and Preceptor is aged and hath affection for this pupil. Partha, however, is ably in might, of firm grasp, and fatigable. Terribly will be the encounter between them, without resulting in any own defeat. Conversant with weapons, and endowed with heroism, all of them have earned great fame. They may relinquish the very sovereignty of the gods, but not the chance of winning victory. There won't be peace, without doubt, upon the fall of either of these 2, or of Falguna. There is none who can either slay or vanquish Arjuna. How may his wrath that hath been excited against my foolish sons be pacified? Others there are acquainted with the use of weapons, that conqueror are conquered, but 'tis heard that Falguna always conquereth. 330 years have passed away since the time when Arjuna, having invited Agni, gratified him at Kihandava, vanquishing all the celestials. We have never heard of his defeat anywhere, like the case of Indra. Victory is always Arjuna, who have for his chariota impatedly reached Rikesa, and that with the same character and position. We hear that the two Krishnas on the same car and the stringed Gandiva, these three forces, have been united together. As regards ourselves, we have not a bow of that kind, or a warrior like Arjuna, or a charioteer like Krishna. The foolish followers of Duryodhana are not aware of this. The blazing thunderbolt falling on the head leaveth something undestroyed, but the arrows shot by Kiritin leave nothing undestroyed. Even now I behold the Dhananjaya shooting his arrows and committing a havoc around, picking off heads from bodies with his arrowy showers. Even now I behold the arrowy conflagration blazing all around, ensuing from the Gandiva, consuming impatedly the hanks of my sons. Even now it seemeth to me that, struck with panic at the hero of Savia Sakhinkar, my vast arm consisting of diverse forces is running away in all directions, as a tremendous conflagration, wandering in all directions, of swelling flames, and urged by the wind, consumeth dry leaves and grass. So will the great flame of Arjuna weapons consume all my troops. Kiritin, appearing as a foe impatedly, will vomit innumerable arrows and become irresistibly like all-destroying death, urged forward by the Supreme Ordainer. When I shall constantly hear of evil omens of diverse kinds, happening in the homes of the Kurus, and around them, and on the field of battle, then will destruction without doubt overtake the Biharatas. Dhritarashtra said, and that with great prowess and eager for victory, even as the sons themselves of Pandu are, so are their followers, who are all resolved to sacrifice their lives and determined to win victory. Even thou hast told me of my might enemies, the kings of the Panchalas, the Kekayas, the Matsiyas, and the Magadhas. He, again, who at his will can bring under his subjection all the three worlds with Indra at their head, even that creator of the universe, the mighty Krishna, is bent on giving victory upon the Pandavas. As regards Satyaki, he acquired in no time the whole science of arms from Arjuna. That scion of Sini haste will stand on the battlefield, shooting his shafts like husbandmen showing seeds. The prince of Panchala, the Ristariuna, that might call warrior of merciless deeds, acquainted with all superior weapons, will fight with my host. Great is my fear, from the wrath of Yudhishthira, from the prowess of Arjuna, and from the twins and Bhimasena. When those laws of men will, in the midst of my arm, spread their superhuman net of arrows, I fear my troops will not come out of it. It is for this that I weep. That son of Pandu, Yudhishthira, is handsome, and that with great energy, highly blessed, possessed of Brahma force, intelligent, of great wisdom, and virtuous soul, having allies and counselors, united with persons ready for battle, and possessing brothers and father-in-law, who are all heroes and mighty warriors. The tiger among men, the son of Pandu, is also endowed with patience, capable of keeping his counsels, compassionate, modest, of powers incapable of being baffled, possessed of great learning, with soul under proper control, ever waiting upon the aged and subdued senses, possessed thus of every accomplishment, he is like unto a blazing fire. What fool, doomed to destruction and deprived of sense, will jump, moth-like, into that blazing and irresistibly Pandava fire? I have behaved deceitfully towards him, the king, like unto a fire of long flames, will destroy all my foolish sons impatiently, without leaving any alive. Therefore, think that it is not proper to fight with them. Ye Kauravas, be ye of the same mind. Without doubt, the whole race of Kuru will be destroyed, in case of hostilities being waged. This appears to me very clearly, and if we act accordingly, my mind may have peace. If war with them doth not seem beneficial to you, then we will strive to bring about peace. Yudhishthira will never be indifferent when he sees us distressed, for he censures me only as the cause of this unjust war. Sanjaya said, "It is even so as thou sayest. On the event of abately, the destruction of the Kshatriyas by means of Gandiva is certain. These, however, I do not understand how when thou art always wise and especially acquainted with the prowess of Savyasakhin, thou followest yet the counsels of thy sons, having injured the sons of Pritha from the very beginning, having, in fact, committed sins repeatedly. This is not the time. He that occupies the position of a father and a friend, if he is always watchful and of good heart, should seek the welfare. But he that injures cannot be called a father. Hearing of the defeat of the Pandavas at Dice, thou hast loghead like a child, saying, "This is one, this is accurate," when the harshest speeches were addressed to the sons of Pritha. Thou didst not then interfere, pleased at the prospect of thy sons winning the whole kingdom. Thou couldst not, however, then see before the inevitable fall. The country of the Kurus, including the region called Jangala, is thy paternal kingdom. Thou hast, however, obtained the whole earth by those heroes, won by the strength of their arms. The sons of Pritha made over thee this extensive empire. Thou thinkest that all this was acquired by thee, when thy sons, seized by the king of the Gandhirvas, were about to sink in a shoreless sea without a haft to save them. It was Partha that brought them back. Thou hadst, like a child, repeatedly loghead at the Pandavas when they were defeated at Dice and were going into exile. When Arjuna poureth a shower of keen arrows, the very oceans dry up, let alone beings of flesh and blood. Falguna is the foremost of all shooters. Gandiva is the foremost of all bows. Kesava is the foremost of all beings. The Sudarsana is the foremost of all weapons, and of caste, that furnished with the banner bearing the blazing ape on it is the foremost. That car of his, bearing all these and drawn by white steeds, will consume us all immediately like the upraised well of time. His is even now the whole earth, and he is the foremost of all kings, who have Bhima and Arjuna to fight for him. Beholding thy host sinking in despair, when smitten by Bhima, the Kauravas, headed by Duryodhana, will all meet destruction. Struck with the fear of Bhima and Arjuna, thy sons, and the kings following them, will not be able to win victory. The Matsiyas, the Panchalas, the Salvais, and the Surasenas I'll decline to pay thee homage now, and I'll disregard thee. Acquainted with the energy of that wise king, all of them, however, have joined that son of Pritha, and for their devotion to him they are always opposed to thy sons. He, by his evil deeds, afflicted the sons of Pandu, who are all wedded to virtue and undeserving of destruction. He that hateth them even now, that sinful man, who is none else than thy son, should, with all his adherents, be checked by all means. It behoveth thee not to bewail in this strain. Even this was said by myself, as well as by the wise Vidyura, at the time of the gambling match at dice. These thy lamentations, in connection with the Pandavas, as if thou wert a helpless person, are all useless. Duryodhana said, Fear not, nor shouldst thou grieve for us. We are quite able to vanquish the foe impatiently. When the Parthas had been exiled to the woods, there came unto them the slayer of Madhu with a vast arm impatiently array, and capable of crushing hostile kingdoms. And there came unto them the Kekayas, and the Ristaketu, and the Ristaliumna of Pritha race, and numerous other kings in their train, and all those great cow warriors were assembled in a place not far from Indraprastha, and having assembled together, they censured thee and all the Kurus. And all those warriors with Krishna at their head paid their homage unto Yudhishthira, clad in deer skin and seated in their midst. And all those kings then suggested to Yudhishthira that he should take back the kingdom. And all of them desired to slay thee with all the followers. And hearing of all these, addressed Bhishma and Drona and Kripa, struck with fear at the prospect of the ruin that threatened our kindred. And I said unto them, I think the Pandavas will not abide by the agreement made by them. Vasudeva desireth our utter extinction. I think that, with the exception of Vidyura, all of you will be slain. Our talk, the chief of the Kurus, Dhritarashtra, conversant with morality, will not be included in the slaughter, affecting our complete destruction. Janardana wisheth to bestow upon Yudhishthira the entire kingdom of the Kurus. What shall be done? Shall we surrender, or fly, or shall we fight the foe, giving up every hope of life? If we stand up against them, our defeat is certain, for all the kings of the earth are under Yudhishthira's command. The people of the realm are all annoyed with us, and all our friends are angry with us. All the kings of the earth are speaking ill of us, and especially all our friends and relatives. There can be no fault in our surrender, for from time immemorial the weaker part is known to conclude peace. I grieve for that lot of men, my blind father, who may on my account be overtaken by war and misery that is endless. It is known to thee, even before this, that thy other sons were all opposed to the foe for pleasing me only. Those mighty cow warriors, the sons of Pandu, will avenge their wrongs by destroying the whole race of King Dhritarashtra. Will all his counselors, seeing me afflicted by great anxiety and my senses tortured? Drona and Bhishma and Kripa and Drona's son then addressed me, saying, Fear not, for if the foe wage hostilities with us, they will not be able to vanquish us when we take the field. Every one of us is singly capable of vanquishing all the kings of the earth. Let them come. With keen-edged arrows we will curb their pride. inflamed with anger upon the death of his father. This Bhisma, in days of old, had conquered all the kings of the earth on a single car. His wrath exceeded that the best of the Kurus smote numberless ons amongst them, whereupon, from fear, they all surrendered to this Devavrata, seeking his protection. That Bhisma, united with us, is still capable of vanquishing the foe in battle. Let thy fears, therefore, be all dispelled. Even this was the resolve then formed by these heroes of immeasurable energy. The whole earth was formerly under the foe command. Now, however, they are incapable of vanquishing us in battle, for our enemies, the sons of Pandu, are now without allies and destitute of energy. The sovereignty of the earth now resteth in me, and the kings assembled by me are of the same mind with me in weal or woe. Know thou that all these kings can for my sake enter into the fire or the sea. They are all looking at thee, beholding thee filled with grief, and indulging in these lamentations like one out of his wits, and affrighted at the praises of the foe. Everyone amongst these kings is able to withstand the Pandavas. Everyone regardeth himself. Let thy fears be dispelled. Even Vasava himself is not capable of vanquishing my vast host. The self-create Brahma himself, if desirous of slaying it, cannot annihilate it. Having given up all hopes of a seat, Yudhishthira craveth on 5 villages, affrighted at the arm I have assembled and at my power. The belief thou entertainest in the prowess of Vrikodara, the son of Kunti, is unfounded. Thou knowest not the extent of my prowess. There is none on earth equal to me in an encounter with the mace. None have ever surpassed me in such an encounter, nor will any surpass me. With devoted application and undergoing many privations, I have lived in my preceptor abode. I have completed my knowledge and exercises there. It is for this that I have no fear either of Bhishma or of others. When I humbly waited upon Sankar's it was his firm conviction that Duryodhana hath no equal in the mace. In battle I am Sankar's equal, and in might there is none superior to me on earth. Bhishma will never be able to bear the blow of my mace in battle. A single blow that I may wrathfully deal unto Bhishma will certainly carry him without delay to the abode of Yama. I wish to see Vrikodara mace in hand. This hath been my long cherished desire. Struck in battle with my mace, Vrikodara, the son of Pritha, will fall dead on the ground, his limbs shattered. Smitten with a blow of my mace, the mountains of Himavat may split into 100,000 fragments. Vrikodara himself knoweth this truth, as also Vasudeva and Arjuna, that there is none equal to Duryodhana in the use of mace. Let thy fears, therefore, caused by Vrikodara, be dispelled, for I will certainly slay him in fierce conflict. Do not give way to melancholy. And after I have slain him, numerous warriors of equal or superior energy will speedily throw Arjuna down. Bhisma, Drona, Kripa, and Dronason, Karna, and Bihu his Havas, Salia, the king of Pragyotis, and Jayadratha, the king of the Sindhus. Every one of these is singly capable of slaying the Pandavas. When united together, they will, within a moment, sent Arjuna to the abode of Yama. There is no reason why the united arm of all the kings will be incapable of vanquishing the Dhananjaya singly, 100 times shrouded by immeasurable arrows shot by Bhishma and Drona's son and Kripa, and deprived of strength. Partha will have to go unto Yama abode. Our grandsire, born of Ganga, is superior to Santanu himself, like unto a regenerate saint, and incapable of being withstood by the very celestials, he took his birth amongst men. There is no slayer of Bhishma on earth, for his father, being gratified, gave him the boon. Thou shalt not die except when it is thy own wish. And Drona took his birth in a water pot from the regenerate saint Viharadivaj, and from Drona have taken birth his son, having a knowledge of the highest weapons, and these the foremost of preceptors. Kripa also have taken his birth from the great rishi Gautama, born in a clump of heath. This illustrious one, I think, is incapable of being slain. Then again, the father, mother, and maternal uncle of Asvatihaman, these three are not born of human womb. I have that hero on my side. All these mighty warriors are like unto celestials, and can inflict pain on Sakra himself immediately. Arjuna is incapable of even looking at any one of these singly. When united together, these tigers among men will certainly slay the Dhananjaya. Karna, I suppose, is equal unto Bhishma, and Drona, and Kripa. Hama himself had told him, Thou art equal unto me. Karna had 2 earrings born with him, of great brilliance and beauty, for Sakhi gratification in the bagged dam of that oppressor of foes, in exchange of an infallibly and terribly shaft. How would the Dhananjaya therefore escape with life from Karna, who is protected by that arrow? My success is as certain as a fruit held fast in my own grasp. The utter defeat of my foes is already bruited about on earth. This Bhishma killeth every day 10,000 soldiers. Equal unto him are these bowmen, Drona's son, and Kripa. Then the hands of the Sansapitaka warriors have made this resolution. Either we will slay Arjuna, or that 8-bannered warrior will slay us. There are other kings who firm in their resolve of slaying Savyasakhi, regard him as unequal to themselves. Why dost thou then apprehend danger from the Pandavas? When Bhishmasena will be slain, who else will fight? Tell me this, if thou knowest in amongst the foes. The 5 brothers with the Ristariumna and Satyaki, the 7 warriors of the enemy, are regarded as their chief strength. Those, however, amongst us that are our chief warriors are Bhishma, Drona, Kripa, Drona's son, Karna, Somadatta, Valika, and Saliya, the king of Pragijyotisha, the 2 kings of Avanti and Jayadratha, and then thy sons, Dusasana, Durmukha, Dusaha, Srutayu, Hitrasena, Purumitra, Vivingsati, Sala, Bihuhisravas, and Vikarna. I have assembled on and 10 Akishauhinis. The arm of the enemy is less than mine, amounting on to 7 Akishauhinis. How then can I be defeated? Vrihaspati have said that an arm which is less by a third ought to be encountered. My arm exceedeth that of the foe by a third. Besides, I know that the enemy hath many defects, while mine are endowed with many good virtues. knowing all these, as also the superiority of my foes and the inferiority of the Pandavas, it behoveth thee not to lose thy senses. Having said this, that conqueror of hostile chiefs, Duryodhana, asked Sanjaya again, anxious to know more about the doings of the Pandavas. Duryodhana said, having obtained an arm numbering 7 Akishauhinis, what is Yudhishthira, the son of Kunti, with the other kings in his company, doing in view of the war? Sanjaya said, Yudhishthira is very cheerful in view of the battle, and so also are Bhishmasena and Arjuna. The twins are perfectly fearless, desirous of making an experiment of the mantras. Vibhihatsu, the son of Kunti, yoked his celestial car illuminating all the directions. Accoutred in mail, he looked like a mass of clouds charged with lightning. After reflecting for a while, he cheerful addressed me, saying, Behold, these preliminary signs, we will certainly conquer. What Vibhihatsu said unto me appeared to me to be true. Duryodhana said, Thou rejoicest to applaud those sons of Pritha, defeated at dice. Tell us now what sort of steeds are yoked unto Arjuna car, and what sort of banners are set up on it. Sanjaya said, The celestial artificer called Tastri, or Vihaumana, aided by Sakra and Dihatri, created forms of the best kinds in great beauty for Arjuna car. And displaying divine illusion, they placed on his flag staff those celestial forms, large and small, of great value. And at Bhishmasena's request, Hanumat, the son of the wind god, will place his own image on it, and Vihaumana has, in its creation, had recourse to such illusion that banner covers, both perpendicularly and laterally, an area of 1 yojana, and even if trees stand in its way, its course cannot be impeded. Even a sacred bow of diverse colors is exhibited in the firmament, and nobody knows of what it is made, so hath that banner been contrived by Vihaumana, for its form is varied and ever varying. And as a column of smoke mixed with fire riseth up, covering the sky and displaying many bright hues and elegant shapes, so doth that banner contrived by Vihaumana rear its head. It hath no weight, nor is it capable of being obstructed, and unto that car are a century of excellent celestial steeds of white hue, and endowed with the speed of the mind, are presented by Hitrasena, and neither on earth, nor in the sky, nor in heaven, their course can be impeded, and formerly a boon have been granted to the effect that their number would always remain full, how often soever they might be slain. And unto Yudhishthira car are yoked large steeds of equal energy, and white in color, like ivory. And unto Bhishmasena car are yoked horses, endowed with the speed of the wind, and the splendor of the 7 rishis, and steeds of sable bodies and backs variegated like the wings of the titri bird, are presented by his gratified brother Falguna, and superior to those of the heroic Falguna himself, shall full carry Sahadeva. And Nakula of Ajamida race, the son of Madri, is born like Indra, the slayer of Vitra, by excellent steeds, presented by the great Indra himself, are marked as the wind, and endowed with great speed. An excellent steed of large size, equal unto those of the Pandavas themselves in years and strength, endowed with great swiftness, and of handsome make, and are presented by the celestials, carried those youthful princes, the sons of Subhadra and Draupadi. Dhritarashtra said, "Whom hast thou seen to have from affection arrived there, and who will, on behalf of the Pandavas, fight my son's forces?" Sanjaya said, "I have seen Krishna, the foremost of the Andihakas and the Vrishnis, arrived there, and Hekitana, as also Satyaki, otherwise called Yuyudhihana, and those two mighty cow warriors, proud of their strength and famed over all the world, have joined the Pandavas, each with a separate Akishauhini of troops, and Drupada, the king of the Panchalas, surrounded by his 10 heroic sons, Satyajit and others, headed by Dhristadyumna, and well protected by Sikhihandin, and having furnished his soldiers with every necessary thing, have come there with a full Akishauhini, desirous of honoring Yudhishthira. And that lord of earth, Virata, with his 2 sons, Sankiha and Uttara, as also with those heroes Suryadatta and others, headed by Madihakisha, and surrounded by one Akishauhini of troops, have thus accompanied by brothers and sons, joined the son of Pritha and the son of Jarasandha, the king of Magadha, and Dhristaketu, the king of the Kheds, have separately come there, each accompanied by an Akishauhini of troops, and the 5 brothers of Kekaya, all having purple flags, have joined the Pandavas, surrounded by an Akishauhini of troops. Then, numbering to this extent, have I seen assembled there, and these, on behalf of the Pandavas, will encounter the Dhritarashtra host, that great cow warrior, Dhristadyumna, who is acquainted with Uman, Celestial, Gandharva, and Asura race of Baitali, leadeth that host. Bhisma, the son of Santanu, has been assigned to Sikhihandin as his share, and Virata, with all his Matsya warriors, will support Sikhihandin. The mighty king of the Madras have been assigned to the eldest son of Pandu as his share, though some are of opinion that those 2 are not well matched. Duryodhana with his sons and his 99 brothers, as also the rulers of the east and the south, have been assigned to Bhishmasena as his share. Karna, the son of Vikartana, and Jayadratha, the king of the Sindhus, have been assigned to Arjuna as his share, and those heroes also on the earth who are incapable of being withstood and who are proud of their might have been accepted by Arjuna as his share. And those mighty bowmen, the 5 royal brothers of Kekaya, will put forth their strength in battle, accepting the Kekaya warriors as antagonists, and in their share are included the Malavas and the Salvakas, as also the 2 famous warriors of the Trigarta host, who have sworn to conquer or die, and all the sons of Duryodhana and Dusasana, as also King Vrihadivala, have been assigned to Subhadra son as his share. And those great bowmen, the sons of Draupadi, having cars furnished with gold embroidered banners, are headed by Dhristadyumna, will advance against Drona, and Hekitana on his car desireth to encounter Somadatta in single combat with him, while Satyaki is anxious to battle against the Bihosha chief, Kritavarman, and the heroic son of Madri, Sahadeva, who setteth up terribly horrors in battle, hath intended to take as his share thy brother-in-law, the son of Suvala, and Nakula, the son of Madravati, have intended to take as his share the deceitful Uluka and the tribes of the Sarasvatas. As for all the other kings of the earth, who will go to Baitali, the sons of Pandu have, by naming them, distributed them in their own respective shares. Thus have the Pandava host been distributed into divisions. Do thou now, without delay, with thy sons, act as thou thinkest best. Dhritarashtra said, my foolish sons, addicted to deceitful dice, are already dead, when it is the mighty Bhima with whom they desire to encounter in the field of battle. All the kings of the earth, consecrated by death himself for sacrifice, will rush to the Gandiva, like so many moths into fire. Methinks my horse is already put to flight by those illustrious warriors formerly injured by me, who shall follow to battle my warriors, whose hands will be broken by the sons of Pandu in the encounter. All of them are mighty warriors, possessed of great bravery, of famous achievements, and with great prowess, equal unto the fiery sun in energy, and all victorious in battle. Those that have Yudhishthira for their leader, the slayer of Madhu for their protector, the heroic Savyasaki and Vrikodara for their warriors, and Nakula and Sahadeva and Dhritarhyumna, the son of Prishata, and Satyaki, and Drupada, and Dhristaketu with his son, and Utamaujas, and the unconquerably Udihamaniu of the Pankhalas, and Sikhihanding, and Kishatradeva, and Uttara, the son of Virata, and Kasayas, the Khedis, the Matisias, the Serinjayas, Vabihu, the son of Virata, the Pankhalas, and the Prabhihadrakas, for fighting for them, those from whom Indra himself cannot, if they are unwilling, snatch this earth, those heroes, cool and steered in fight, who can split the very mountains. It is with them that are endowed with every virtue and possessed of superhuman prowess, that this wicked son of mine, Zareth to fight, disregarding me even talk, I am crying myself hoarse. Duryodhana said, both the Pandavas and ourselves are of the same race, both they and we tread upon the same earth. Why then dost thou think that victory will declare itself on the Pandavas? Bhishma, Drona, Kripa, the unconquerably Karna, Jayadratha, Somadatta, and Asvatihama are mighty bowmen, and endowed with great energy, are incapable of being vanquished by Indra himself united with the celestials. What sayest thou then? All these noble and heroic kings of the earth, bearing weapons, are quite capable for my sake of withstanding the Pandavas, while the latter are not capable of even gazing at my troops. I am powerful enough to encounter in battle the Pandavas with their sons. All those rulers of the earth who are anxious for my welfare will certainly seize all the Pandavas like a herd of young deer by means of net. I tell thee, in consequence of our crowds of cars and snares of arrows, the Pankhalas and the Pandavas will all be hooted. Dhritarashtra said, this my son speaketh like a madman, for he is incapable of vanquishing in battle Yudhishthira, the just. This Bhishma truly knoweth the might of the far most powerful, virtuous, and high-souled Pandavas and their sons, for he doth not wish a battle with those illustrious ones. Tell me again of their movements. Tell me who are inciting those illustrious and might bowmen, and that with great activity, like priests enkindling fires with libations of clarified butter. Sanjaya said, Diristaliumna is always urging the Pandavas to war, saying, Fight ye, best among the Biharatas. Do not entertain the least fear. All those rulers of the earth who, courted by the Dhritarashtra son, will become in that fierce encounter target of showers of weapons. Alone will encounter all those angry kings assembled together with their relatives, like a whale seizing little fishes from the water. Bhisma and Drona and Kripa and Karna and Dronason and Salia and Suyodhana, them all are withstand, like the bank resisting the swelling sea. Unto him, saying thus, the virtuous King Yudhishthira said, The Pankhalas and the Pandavas all depend upon thy prowess and steadiness. Rescue us safely from the war. I know that thou art firm in the duties of the Kshatriya order. Thou art quite competent to smite alone the Kauravas. When the leader, eager for fight, will stand before us, what thou wilt arrange will certainly be for our good. Even this is the opinion of those acquainted with the scriptures, that the hero who, displaying his prowess, hurlieth those that after the rout run away from the battlefield, seeking for protection, is to be balked with 1,000. Thou art brave, might, and powerful. Without doubt, thou art that deliverer of those that are overpowered with fear on the field of battle. And when the righteous Yudhishthira, the son of Kunti, said this, Diristaliumna fearlessly addressed me in these words, Go thou without delay, and say unto all those that have come to fight for Duryodhana, say unto the Kurus of the Pratipa dynasty, with the Valhikas, the son of Saradivata, and Karna, and Drona son, and Jayadratha, and Dusasana, and Vikarna, and King Duryodhana, and Bhisma. Do not suffer yourselves to be slain by Arjuna, who is protected by the celestials. Before that happens, let some good men approach Yudhishthira and entreat that son of Pandu, that best of men, to accept the kingdom without delay. There is no warrior on the earth like unto Savyasakhin, son of Pandu, of prowess incapable of being baffled. The celestial car of the holder of Gandiva is protected by the very gods. He is incapable of being vanquished by human beings. Do not, therefore, bend your mind to war. Dhritarashtra said, Yudhishthira, the son of Pandu, is endowed with Kshatriya energy and leadeth the Brahmacharya mode of life from his very youth. With him, these foolish sons of mine desire to fight, disregarding me that I am thus bewailing. I ask thee, desist from hostility. Under any circumstances, war is never applauded. Half the earth is quite enough for the maintenance of thyself and all thy followers. Give back unto the sons of Pandu their proper share. All the Kauravas deem just this to be consistent with justice, that thou shouldst make peace with the high-souled sons of Pandu. Reflect thus, and thou wilt find that this thy arm is for thy own death. Thou understandest not this from thy own folly. I myself do not desire war, nor Valhika, nor Bhisma, nor Drona, nor Asvatihaman, nor Sanjaya, nor Somadatta, nor Salia, nor Kripa, nor Satyavrata, nor Purumitra, nor Jaya, nor be who his ra was. In fact, none of these desireth war. Those warriors upon whom the Kauravas, when afflicted by the foe, will have to hell, do not approve of the war. Let that be acceptable to thee. Thou dost not seek it of thy own will. It is Karna and the evil-minded Dusasana and Sakuni, the son of Suvala, that are leading thee to it. Duryodhana said, I challenge the Pandavas to battle without depending upon thyself, Drona, or Asvatihaman, or Sanjaya, or Vikarna, or Kamvoja, or Kripa, or Valhika, or Satyavrata, or Purumitra, or Bihu his Ravas, or others of thy part. Only myself and Karna are prepared to celebrate the sacrifice of battle with all the necessary heats, making Yudhishthira the victim. In that sacrifice, my car will be the altar, my sword will be the smala ladle, my mace the large one, for pouring libations. My coat of mail will be assembly of spectators, my 4 steeds will be the officiating priests, my arrows will be the blades of kusagras, and fame will be the clarified butter. Performing in honor of Yama such a sacrifice in battle, the ingredients of which will all be furnished by ourselves. We will return victoriously, covered with glory, after having slain our foes. 3 of us, myself and Karna, and my brother Dusasana, will slay the Pandavas in battle. Either slaying the Pandavas will sway this earth, or the sons of Pandu, having slain me, will enjoy this earth. I won't sacrifice my life, kingdom, wealth, everything, would not be able to live side by side with the Pandavas. I will not surrender to the Pandavas even that much of land which may be covered by the sharp point of a needle. Dhritarashtra said, I now abandon Duryodhana forever. I nevertheless grieve for you all, ye kings, that will follow this fool who is about to proceed to Yama abode, like tigers among a herd of deer. Those foremost of his meters, the sons of Pandu, will smite down your principal leaders assembled for battle. Methinks the Mahabharata host, like a helpless woman, will be afflicted and crushed and hurled to a distance by Yudhishthira of long arms. Adding to the strength of Yudhishthira's arm, which without him was already sufficient, Sinison will take up his stand on the field of battle and scatter his arrows like seeds on a cultivated field. And Bhishmasena will take up his position in the very van of the combatants, and all his soldiers will fearlessly stand in his rear, as behind a rampart, when thou wilt behold elephants hug as a hills, prostrated on the ground, with their tusks disabled, their temples crushed, and bodies dyed with gore. In fact, when thou wilt see them lying on the field of battle like heathen hills, then, afraid of a clash with him, thou wilt remember these my words, beholding thy host consisting of cars, steeds, and elephants, consumed by Bhishmasena, and presenting the spectacle of a widespread conflagration track, thou wilt remember these my words. If ye do not make peace with the Pandavas, overwhelming calamity will be yours. Slain by Bhishmasena with his mace, ye will rest in peace. When thou wilt see the Kuru host levelled to the ground by Bhishma, like a large forest torn up by the roots, then wilt thou remember these my words. Having said this unto all those rulers of the earth, the king, addressing Sanjaya again, asked him as follows. Dhritarashtra said, "Tell me what high-souled Vasudeva and Dhananjaya said. I am anxious to hear from thee about this." Sanjaya said, "Listen as I tell thee the state in which I found Krishna and Dhananjaya. I will tell thee what those heroes said, with looks bent down and hands joined together, and with senses well restrained. I entered the inner apartments for conferring with those gods among men. Neither Abhimanyu nor the twins can repair to that place where are the two Krishnas and Draupadi and Lady Satyabhama. There I beheld those chastisers of foes, exhilarated with basia wine, their bodies adorned with garlands of flowers, attired in excellent robes and adorned with celestial ornaments. They sat on a golden dais, decked with numerous gems, and covered over with carpets of diverse texture and hue. And I beheld Kesava feet resting upon Arjuna's lap, while those of the high-souled Arjuna rested upon the laps of Krishna and Satyabhama. Partha then pointed out to me a footstool made of gold. Touching it with my hand, I seated myself down on the ground, and when he withdrew his feet from the footstool, I beheld auspicious marks on both his soles. Those consisted of two longitudinal lines running from heels to foretoe, ended with black complexions, of high statures, and erect like sala trunks, beholding those youthful heroes, both seated on the same seat. A great fear seized me. They seemed to me to be Indra and Vishnu, seated together. Tog Duryodhana, of due sense, knoweth it not, in consequence of his reliance on Drona and Bhishma and on the loud wounds of Karna. That very moment I was convinced that the wishes of Yudhishthira, the just, who had those two for obeying his orders, were certain to succeed, being hospitably entertained with food and drink and honored with other courtesies. I conveyed to them thy message, placing my joined hands on my head. Then Partha, removing Kesava's auspicious foot from his lap, with his hand scarred by the flappings of the bowstring, urged him to speak. Sitting up erect like Indra banner, adorned with every ornament, and resembling Indra himself in energy, Krishna then addressed me, and the words which that best of speakers said were sweet, charming, and mild, tog, awful, and alarming to the son of Dhritarashtra. The words uttered by Krishna, who alone is fit to speak, were of correct emphasis and accent, and pregnant with meaning, tog, hurt-handing in the end. And Vasudeva said, "Say thou these words unto the wise Dhritarashtra, and in the hearing of that foremost of the Kurus, Bhishma, and also of Drona, having first saluted at our request all the aged ones, and having inquired after the welfare of the younger ones. Do ye celebrate diverse sacrifices, making presents unto the Brahmanas, and rejoice with your sons and wives, for a great danger threatens ye? Do ye give away wealth unto deserving persons, beget desirably sons, and do agreeably offices to those that are dear to thee? For King Yudhishthira is eager for victory. While I was at a distance, Krishna, with tears addressing me, said, "That debt, accumulating with time, hath not yet been paid off by me. Ye have provoked hostilities with that Savyasakhin, who hath for his bow the invincible Gandiva of fiery energy, and who hath me for his helpmate, who, even if he were Purandara himself, won't challenge Partiha, having me for his helpmate, unless, of course, his span of life were full. He that is capable of vanquishing Arjuna in battle is able to uphold the earth with his two arms, to consume all created things in anger and rule the celestials from heaven. Among the celestials, asuras and men, among yakishas, gandharvas and nagas, I do not find the person that can encounter Arjuna in battle. That wonderful history which is heard of an encounter in the seat of Virata between a single person on one side and innumerable warriors on the other is sufficient proof of this. That ye are fled in all directions, being halted in the seat of Virata by that son of Pandu singly, is sufficient proof of this. Might, prowess, energy, speed, lightness of hand, indefatigableness, and patience are not to be found in anyone else save Partiha. Thus spoke Rizhikesa, cheering up Partiha by his words and hovering like rain-charged clouds in the firmament. Having heard these words of Kesava, the diadem decked Arjuna of white steeds also spoke to the same effect. Having heard these words of Sanjaya, the monarch, ended with the eye of wisdom, took that speech into his consideration as regards its merits and demerits, and having counted in detail the merits and demerits as far as he could, and having exactly ascertained the strength and weakness of both parties, the learned and intelligent king, ever desirous of victory to his sons, then began to compare the powers of both sides. And having at last ascertained that the Pandavas were endowed with great strength and energy, both human and divine, and that the Kurus were much weaker, Dhritarashtra said unto Duryodhana, "This anxiety always filleth me, it doth not leave me. Truly, it seemeth that I behold it with my eye. This conviction is not a matter of inference. All created beings show great affections for their offsprings, and do, to the best of their power, what is agreeable and beneficial to them. This is generally to be seen also in the case of benefactors. They that are good always desire to return the good done to them, and to do what is highly agreeable to their benefactors. Remembering what was done to him at Kihadava, Agni will, no doubt, render aid to Arjuna in this terrible encounter between the Kurus and the Pandavas, and from parental affection, the Dharma and other celestials, duly invoked, will come together to the aid of the Pandavas. I think that, to save them from Bhisma and Drona and Kripa, the celestials will be filled with wrath, assembling the thunderbolt in its effects, and with energy and well vested in the use of weapons. Those tigers among men, the sons of Pritha, when united with the celestials, will be incapable of being even gazed upon by human warriors. He who hath the irresistibly excellent and celestial Gandiva for his bow, he who hath a couple of celestial quivers obtained from Varuna, large full of shafts and inexhaustibly, he on whose banner that is unobstructed like smoke in its action is stationed the monkey image of celestial origin, whose car is unequalled on the earth, girt by the four seas, and the hair of which, as heard by men, is like the roar of the clouds, and which, like the rolling of the thunder, frightens the foe. He whom the whole world regards as superhuman in energy, he whom all the kings of the earth know to be the vanquisher of the very gods in battle, he that taketh up 500 arrows at a time, and in a twinkling of the eye shooteth them, unseen by others, to a great distance. That son of Pritha, entire among car warriors, and chastiser of foes, whom Vihisma and Trona, and Kripa, and Drona's son, and Salia, the king of the Madras, and in fact all impartial persons, regard as incapable of being vanquished by even earthly kings of superhuman prowess, when ready for fight, who shooteth at one stretch full 500 arrows, and who is equal unto Kartavirya in strength of arms, that great bowman Arjuna, equal unto Indra or Upendra in prowess. Behold that great warrior committing a great havoc in this terrible battle, reflecting day and night on this. I am unhappy and sleepless, through anxiety for the welfare of the Kurus. A terrible destruction is about to overtake the Kurus, if there is nothing but peace for ending this quarrel. I am for peace with the Parthas and not for war. I always deem the Pandavas mightier than the Kurus. Hearing these words of his father, the passionate son of Dhritarashtra, inflamed with great wrath, again said these words: Thou thinkest the Parthas, having the celestials for their allies, are incapable of being vanquished. Let this thy fear be dispelled. The gods attend to their divinity for absence of desire, of envy, of covetousness, and of enmity, as also for their indifference to our worldly affairs. Formerly, the Vaipayana Vyasa and Narada of great ascetic austerities, and Hama, the son of Jamadagni, told us this: the gods never like human beings engaged in work, from desire or wrath, or covetousness, or envy. If Agni, or Vayu, or the Dharma, or Indra, or the Aswings had ever engaged themselves in works from worldly desire, then the sons of Pritha could never have fallen into distress. Do not, therefore, by any means indulge in such anxiety, because the gods always set their eyes on affairs worthy of themselves. If, however, envy or lust become noticeable in the gods in consequence of their yielding to desire, then, according to what has been ordained by the gods themselves, such envy or lust can never prevail. Charmed by me, Agni will be instantly extinguished, even if he blazes up around for consuming our creatures. The energy with which the gods are endowed is great, but know that mine is greater than that of the gods. If the earth herself cleaves in twain, or a mountain crest is split, I can unite them by my incantations before the eyes of all. If for the destruction of this universe of animate and inanimate, mobile and immobile creatures, there happeneth a terrific tempest or a stone shower of loud horror, I can always, from compassion for created beings, stop it before the eyes of all. When the waters are solidified by me, even cars and infantry can move over them. It is I who set a-going all the affairs of both gods and asuras. Unto whatever countries I go with my Akishauhinis on my mission, my steeds move whithersoever I desire. Within my dominions there are no fearful snakes, and protected by my incantations, creatures within my territories are never injured by others that are frightful. The very clowns, poor as regards those dwelling in my dominions, showers as much as they desire, and when they desire. My subjects, again, are devoted to religion, and are never subject to calamities of season. The Aswings, Vayu, Agni, Indra, with the Maruts, and the Dharma will not venture to protect my foes. If these had been able to protect by their might my adversaries, never would the sons of Pritha have fallen into such distress for 3 and 10 years. I tell thee truly that neither gods, nor Gandharvas, nor Asuras, nor Hakishasas are capable of saving him who have incurred my displeasure. I have never before been baffled as regards the reward to punishment that are intended to bestow or inflict on friend or foe. If ever I say it, this is to be, that have always been. People, therefore, have always known me as a speaker of truth. All persons can bear witness to my greatness, the fame of which have spread around. I mention this for thy information and not from pride. Never had I praised myself before, for to praise one's own self is mean. Thou wilt hear of the fiat of the Pandavas and the Matsiyas, the Pankhalas and the Kekayas, of Satyaki and Vasudeva at my hands, as rivers on entering the ocean are entirely lost in it, so the Pandavas with all their followers on approaching me will all be annihilated. My intelligence is superior, my energy is superior, my prowess is superior, my knowledge is superior, my resources are superior by far to those of the Pandavas. Whatever knowledge of weapons is in the grandsire, in Drona, and Kripa, and Salia, and Sihalia, exists in me as well. Having said these words, Duryodhana, that oppressor of foes, again asked Sanjaya in order to ascertain the proceedings of Yudhishthira bent upon war. Without much minding Dhritarashtra, the son of Vikhitravirya, who was about to ask of Partha, Karna said unto Dhritarashtra's son these words, cheering up the spirit of the assembled Kurus, coming to know of the false pretense under which I obtained the Brahma weapon of old from Hama. The letter told me, when thy hour will come, thy memory will fail thee in respect of this weapon. Even for so great an offense I was cursed so lightly by that great rish, my preceptor. That great rish of fierce energy is capable of consuming even the entire earth with her seers. By attention and personal bravery I appeased his heart. I have that weapon with me still, and my period is not yet run. I am therefore full competent. Let the responsibility be mine. Having obtained the favor of that rish, I will slay within the twinkling of an eye the Pankhalas, the Karuzhas, the Matsiyas, and the sons of Pritha with their sons and grandsons, and bestow on thee numerous regions won by my weapons. Let the grandsire and Drona and all the kings stay with thee. I will slay the sons of Pritha, marching forth with the chief warriors of my army. Let that task be mine. Unto him speaking thus, Bhishma said, What sayest thou? Thy intellect is clouded at the approach of thy hour. Knowest thou not, when the chief is slain, the sons of Dhritarashtra will all be slain? Having heard of the feat achieved by the Dhananjaya, with Krishna only as his ally, at the burning of the Kihandava forest, it behoveth thee with thy friends and relatives to restrain thy mind. The shaft that the illustrious and adorable chief of the celestials, the great Indra, gave thee, thou wilt see, will be broken and reduced to ashes when struck by Kesava with his discus. That other shaft of serpentine mouth that shineth, and is respectful worshipped by thee with fiery garlands, will, when struck by the son of Pandu with his shafts, perish with thee. The slayer of Vana and Bhumi son, Vasudeva himself, who hath in the thickest of battle slain foes equal and even superior to thee, protecteth the diadem decked Arjuna. Karna said, without doubt, the chief of the freshness is even so. Further, I admit that high souled on is even more than that. Let, however, the grandsire listen to the effect of the bit of harsh speech that he hath uttered. I lay down my weapons. The grandsire will henceforth behold me in court only, and not in battle. After thou hast become quiet, the rulers of the earth will behold my prowess in this world. Having said this, that great bowman, leaving the court, went to his own abode. Bhishma, however, addressing Duryodhana in the midst of the chorus, and laughing aloud said, how true doth the Sutta son keep his promise, while having repeatedly given his pledge, saying, the kings of Avanti and Kalinga, Jayadratha and Khedidihaja and Valhika, standing as spectators, I will slay hostile warriors by thousands and tens of thousands. How will he discharge that obligation? Having distributed his divisions in counter-array and scattering heads by thousands, behold the havoc committed by Bhishmasena. That moment when, representing himself as a Brahmana unto the whole and blameless Hama, Vikartana son obtained that weapon, that vil wretch lost both his virtue and asceticism. When Bhishma said this after Karna had gone away, giving up his weapons, Duryodhana, that foolish son of Vikhitravirya son, addressed Santanu son in these words. Duryodhana said, the son of Pritha are all as other men, and are, in fact, of earthly birth as other men. Why then dost thou think that they are sure to win victory? Both ourselves and they are equal in energy, in prowess, in age, in intelligence, in knowledge of the scriptures, in weapons, in the art of war, in lightness of hand, and in skill. All of us are of the same species, all being men by birth. How then dost thou know that victory will be theirs? I do not seek the accomplishment of my aims by relying upon thee, or Drona, or Kripa, or Valhika, or upon the other kings. Myself and Karna, the son of Vikartana, and my brother Dusasana, we will slay in battle the 5 sons of Pandu by sharpened arrows. Then shall we gratify Brahmanas by performing great sacrifices of diverse kinds, with abundant dakshinas, and by gifts of kine and horses and wealth. When my troops will drag by the aid of their mighty arms the Pandavas in battle, like hunters dragging a head of deer by a net, or whirlpools drawing a crewless boat, then the sons of Pandu, beholding us their foe, supported by crows and cars and elephants, will give up their pride, and not they alone, but Kesava also. Hearing this, Vidyura said, venerable persons of infallible knowledge say that, in this world, self-restraint is highly beneficial. In the case of Brahmana especially, it is his duty. He whose self-restraint followeth charity, asceticism, knowledge, and study of the Vedas, always winneth success, forgiveness, and the fruit of his gifts. Self-restraint enhanceth energy, and is an excellent and whole attribute. freed from sin, and his energy increased by self-restraint. On a cliff, even Brahma through it. People are always afraid of those that are without self-restraint, as if the latter were very rakshasas, and it is for keeping these under check that the self-existent created the Kshatriyas. It has been said that self-restraint is an excellent vow for all the four modes of life. I regard those attributes as its indications, which owe their origin to self-restraint. Those indications are forgiveness, firmness of mind, abstention from injury, an equal regard for all things, truthfulness of speech, simplicity, control over the senses, patience, gentleness of speech, modesty, steadiness, liberality, mildness, contentment, and faith. He that hath self-restraint casteth off lust, avarice, pride, wrath, sleep, boastfulness, self-esteem, malice, and sorrow. Purity and absence of crookedness and fraud are the distinctive marks of a man of self-restraint. He that is not covetous, that is satisfied with a little, that regardeth not objects provoking lust, and that is as grave as the ocean, is known as a man of self-restraint. He that is well behaved, of good disposition, and contented soul, that knoweth his own self, and is possessed of wisdom, winneth great regard here, and attaineth to a blissful state hereafter. Possessed of mature wisdom, he that hath no fear of other creatures, and whom other creatures fear not, is said to be the foremost of men, seeking the good of all. He is a universal friend, and no one is made unhappy by him, and with gravity like that of the ocean, and enjoying contentment in consequence of his wisdom. Such a man is always calm and cheerful, regulating their conduct according to the acts practiced by the righteous of olden times and before their eyes. They that are self-restrained, being devoted to peace, rejoice in this world, or abandoning action, because contented in consequence of knowledge. Such a person, with his senses under control, moveth quickly in this world, waiting for the inevitable hour and absorption into Brahma. And as the track of feathery creatures in the sky is incapable of being perceived, so the path of the sage enjoying contentment in consequence of knowledge is not visible. Abandoning the world, he that betaketh himself in pursuit of emancipation to the sannyasa mode of life, have bright and eternal regions assigned to him in heaven. Vidura said, "We have heard from old men that once on a time a fowler spread his net on the ground for catching feathery denizens of the air, and in that net were snared at the same time two birds that lived together, and taking the net up, the two winged creatures soared together into the air, and seeing them soar into the sky, the fowler, without giving way to despair, began to follow them in the direction they flew. Just then, an ascetic living in a hermitage, who had finished his morning prayers, saw the fowler running in that manner, hoping still to secure the feathery creatures, and seeing that tenant of the earth quickly pursuing those tenants of the air, the ascetic addressed him in this sloka. It appears very strange and wonderful to me that thou that art a triad of the earth pursuest yet a couple of creatures that are tenants of the air. The fowler said, These two, united together, are taking away my snare. There, however, where they will quarrel, they will come under my control. The two birds, doomed to death, soon after quarreled, and when the foolish pair quarreled, they both fell on the earth, and when, snared in the meshes of death, they began to contend angrily against each other. The fowler approached unperceived and seized them both. Even thus, those kinsmen who fought out with one another for the sake of wealth fall into the hands of the enemy, like the birds I have cited, in consequence of their quarrel. Eating together, talking together, these are the duties of kinsmen, and not contention under any circumstances. Those kinsmen that wish loving hearts wait on the old, become unconquerably like a forest guarded by lions, while those that having won enormous riches nevertheless behave like mean-minded men, always contribute to the prosperity of their foes. King's men are like charred brands, which blaze up when united, but on smoke when disunited. I will now tell thee something else that I saw on a mountain breast. Having listened to that, do what is for thy best. Once on a time, we repaired to the northern mountain, accompanied by some hunters and a number of Brahmanas, fond of discoursing on charms and medicinal plants. That northern mountain, Gandhihamadana, looked like a grove, as its breast was overgrown on all sides with trees and plants and diverse kinds of luminous medicinal herbs. It was inhabited by Siddhas and Gandharvas. And there we all saw a quantity of honey, of a bright yellow color, and of the mastery of a jar, placed on an inaccessible precipice of the mountain. That honey, which was Kuvera's favorite drink, was guarded by snakes of virulent poison, and it was such that a mortal drinking of it would win immortality. A sightless man obtained sight, and an old man would become a youth. It was that those Brahmanas conversant with sorcery spoke about that honey, and the hunters, seeing that honey, desired to obtain it. And they all perished in that inaccessible mountain cave, abounding with snakes. In the same way, this thy son desireth to enjoy the whole earth without a rival. He beholdeth the honey, but seeth not, from folly, the terrible fowl. It is true, Duryodhana desireth an encounter impatiently with Savyasakhin, but I do not see that energy or prowess in him which may carry him safe through it. On a single car, Arjuna conquered the whole earth. At the head of their hosts, Bhishma and Drona and others were frightened by Arjuna and utterly halted at the seat of Virata. Remember what took place on that occasion. He forgiveth still, looking up to thy face and waiting to know what thou wouldst do. Drupada and the king of Matsya's and the Dhananjaya, when angry, were like flames of fire urged by the wind, leave no remnant. Take King Yudhishthira on thy lap, since both parties can, under no circumstances, have victory when they will be engaged in battle. Dhritarashtra said, consider what I tell thee. Like an ignorant traveler, thou thinkest the wrong path to be the right one, since thou art desirous of robbing the energy of the 5 sons of Pandu, who are even as the 5 elements of the universe in their subtly form, upholding all mobile and immobile things. Without the certain sacrifice of thy life, thou art unable to vanquish Yudhishthira, the son of Kunti, who is the foremost of all virtuous persons in this world. Like a tree defying the mighty tempest, the sharpest at Bhishmasena, who hath not his peer in might, and who is equal unto Yama himself in battle. What man of sense would encounter in battle the elder of Gandiva, who is the foremost of all elders of weapons, as the Meru among mountains? What man is there whom Diristariumna, the prince of Panchala, cannot overthrow, shooting his arrows among the foes, like the chief of the celestials holding his thunderbolt? That honored warrior among the Andihakas and the Vrishnis, the irresistibly Satyaki, ever engaged in good of the Pandavas, will slaughter thy host. What man of sense, again, would encounter the lotus-eyed Krishna, who, as regards the mastery of his energy and power, surpasseth the three worlds? As regards Krishna, his wives, kinsmen, relatives, his own soul, and the whole earth, put on scale, weighed with the Dhananjaya on the other. That Vasudeva, upon whom Arjuna lieth, is irresistible, and that host where Kesava is, becometh irresistibly everywhere. Listen to the counsels of those well-wishers of thine, whose woes are always for thy good. Accept thou thy aged grandsire, Bhishma, the son of Santanu, as thy guide. Listen thou to what I say, and what these well-wishers of the Kurus, Drona, and Kripa, and Vikarna, and King Valhika say. These are as I myself. It behoveth thee to regard them as much as thou regardest me, science. All these are conversant with morality, and bear affection to thee as much as myself do. The panic and wrote before thy eyes, at the seat of Virata, of all thy troops with thy brothers, after surrender of the king. That wonderful history that is heard of an encounter at that seat between one and many are sufficient proof. When Arjuna singly achieves all that, what will not the Pandavas achieve when united together? Take them by the hand as thy brothers, and cherish them with a share of the kingdom. Having addressed Suryodhana thus, the highly blessed and wise Dhritarashtra again asked Sanjaya, saying, Tell me what thou hast not yet said, what Arjuna told thee after the conclusion of Vasudeva's speech, for great is my curiosity to hear it. Sanjaya said, having heard the words spoken by Vasudeva, the irresistibly Dhananjaya, the son of Kunti, when the opportunity came, said these words in the hearing of Vasudeva. Sanjaya, or grandsire, the son of Santanu, and Dhritarashtra, and Drona, and Kripa, and Karna, and King Valika, and Drona's son, and Somadatta, and Sakuni, the son of Suvala, and Dusasana, and Sala, and Purumitra, and Vivingsati, Vikarna, and Hitrasena, and King Jayatisena, and Vinda, and Anuvinda, the two chiefs of Avanti, and Bihu his Ravas, and King Bihagadatta, and King Jarasandha, and other rulers of the earth, assembled there to fight for the good of the Kauravas, are all on the eve of death. They have been assembled by the Dhritarashtra's son, for being offered up as libations on the blazing Pandava fire. In my name, Sanjaya, inquired after the welfare of those assembled kings according to their respective ranks, paying them proper regard at the same time. Thou shouldst also say this in the presence of all kings unto Suryodhana, that foremost of all sinful men, wrathful and wicked, of sinful soul and exceedingly covetous, do thou see that fool with his counselors hears all that I say. And with this preface, pretty her son, the Dhananjaya, ended with great wisdom, and possessed of large eyes with head corners, glancing at Vasudeva, Then he spoke unto me these words, pregnant with both virtue and prophecy. Thou hast already heard the measured words spoken by the high solid chief of the mighty haste. Say unto the assembled kings that those are also my words, and say these also for me unto those kings. Do ye together try to act in such a way that libations may not have to be poured into the arrowy fire of the great sacrifice of Bethel, in which the rattle of cowbells will sound as mantras, and the hank-holding bow will act as the ladle. If ye do not give up unto Yudhishthira, that slayer of foes, his own share in the kingdom, ask it back by him. I shall then by means of my arrows send out of you with cavalry, infantry, and elephants into the inauspicious regions of the departed spirits. Then bidding adieu unto the Hananjaya and Hari of 4 arms, and bowing unto them both, I have with great speed come hither to convey those words of grave import to thee. Thou that art endued with effusions equal that of the very gods. When Duryodhana, the son of Dhritarashtra, showed little regard for the words spoken by Sanjaya, and when the rest remained silent, the assembled kings rose up and retired. And after all the kings of the earth had retired, King Dhritarashtra, who always followed the counsels of his son from affection, wishing success to the assembled kings, began to inquire in secret of Sanjaya about the resolves of his own part, and of the Pandavas who were hostile to him. And Dhritarashtra said, Tell me truly, in what consists the strength and weakness of our own host? Minutely acquainted as thou art with the affairs of the Pandavas, tell me in what lies their superiority and in what their inferiority. Thou art full conversant with the strength of both parties. Thou knowest all things, and art well versed in all matters of virtue and prophecy. Asked by me, say which of the parties, when engaged in battle, will perish. Sanjaya said, I will not say anything to thee in secret, for then thou mayest entertain ill feelings towards me. Bring thou hither thy father, Vyasa, of high vows, and thy queen, Gandhihari, conversant with morality, of keen perception, and capable of arriving at the truth. They will remove any ill feelings thou mayest cherish against me. In their presence, I will tell thee everything about the intentions of Kesava and Parthiha. Thus addressed, Dhritarashtra caused both Gandhihari and Vyasa to be brought there, and, introduced by Vidyura, they entered the court without delay, and, understanding the intentions of both Sanjaya and his son, Krishna Dvaipayana, endued with great wisdom, said, Say unto the inquiring Dhritarashtra everything that he desireth to know. Tell him truly all that thou knowest about Vasudeva and Arjuna. Sanjaya said, Those adorable bowmen, Arjuna and Vasudeva, who are perfectly equal unto each other in respect of their godlike nature, have taken their births of their own will. The discus owned by Vasudeva, of abundant energy, occupieth a space full 5 cubits in diameter, is capable of being hurled at the foe, according to the will of the elder himself, and it dependeth on illusion. Always conspicuous by its effulgence, it is invisible to the Kurus, and in ascertaining the strength or weakness of the Pandavas, that discus offers the best ground. That Sion of Madhu haste, endued with great might, vanquished with an effort and seeming playfulness the formidable Naraka and Samvara and Kansa and the chief of heads, possessed of divinity, and of so superior to everything that most exalted of male beings can, by his will alone, bring the earth, firmament, and heaven under his control. Thou askest me repeatedly about the Pandavas for knowing their strength and weakness. Listen now to all that in brief. If the whole universe be placed on one scale and Janardana on the other, even then Janardana will outweigh the entire universe. Janardana, at his pleasure, can reduce the universe to ashes, but the entire universe is incapable of reducing Janardana to ashes. Wherever there is truthfulness, wherever virtue, wherever modesty, wherever simplicity, even there is Govinda. And thither, where Krishna is, success must be. That so of all creatures, most exalted of male beings, Janardana, guideth as if in sport the entire earth, the firmament, and the heaven, making the Pandavas the indirect means and beguiling the whole world. Janardana wisheth to blast thy wicked sons that are all addicted to sin, and that with divine attributes, Kesava, by the power of his soul, causeth the well of time, the well of the universe, and the well of the Yuga to revolve incessantly. And I tell thee truly, that glorious being is alone the Lord of time, of death, and of this universe of mobile and immobile objects. That great asset Kihari, Tog, the Lord of the whole universe, still betaketh himself to work, like a humble laborer that tilleth the fields. Kesava beguileth all by the aid of his illusion. Those men that have attained to him are not deceived. Dhritarashtra said, how hast thou been able to know Madhava as the supreme lord of the universe? And how is it that I am unable to know him as such? Tell me this. Sanjaya said, listen, thou hast no knowledge, whereas my knowledge hath suffered no diminution. He that is without knowledge and is shrouded with the darkness of ignorance knoweth not Kesava, and that by my knowledge I know this layer of Madhu to be the union of the gross, the subtle, and the cause, and that he is the creator of all, but is himself increate, and also that, and that with divinity it is he from whom everything springs, and it is he unto whom all things return. Dhritarashtra said, what is the nature of that faith which thou hast in Janardana, and in consequence of which thou knowest this layer of Madhu to be the union of the gross, the subtle, and the cause? Sanjaya said, blessed be thou, I have no regard for the illusion, and I never practice the useless virtues. Having obtained purity of soul through faith, I have no Janardana from the scriptures. Dhritarashtra said, seek thou the protection of Janardana, otherwise called his Hikesa. Sanjaya is one of our trustiest friends. Seek refuge with Kesava. Duryodhana said, if the divine son of Devaki, united in friendship with Arjuna, were to slay all mankind, I cannot, even then, resign myself to Kesava. Dhritarashtra said, this evil-minded son of thine is resolved to sink in misery, envious, wicked-souled, and vain. He setteth aside the words of all his superiors. Gandhihari said, thou covetous wretch that disregardest the commands of the aged, abandoning thy father and myself, and giving up prosperity and life, enhancing the joy of thy foes, and afflicting me with deep distress, thou wilt remember thy father's words, when struck by Bhishmasena, thou wilt beat the dust. Vyasa said, listen to me, thou art the beloved of Krishna. When Sanjaya hath been thy envoy, he will verily lead thee to thy good. He knoweth his Hikesa, that ancient and exalted one. If thou listenest to him with attention, he will certainly save thee from the great danger that hangs upon thee. Son of Vikhitraviriya, subject to wrath and joy, men are entangled in various snares. They that are not contented with their own possessions, deprived of sense as they are by avarice and desire, they repeatedly become subject to death in consequence of their own acts, like blind men when led by the blind. The path that is trod by the wise is the only one. They that are superior, keeping that path in view, overcome death and reach the goal by it. Dhritarashtra said, tell me of that path without the horse by which, obtaining his Hikesa, salvation may be mine. Sanjaya said, a man of uncontrolled mind can by no means know Janardana, whose soul is under perfect command. The performance of sacrifices without controlling one's senses is even no means to that end. Enunciation of the objects of our excited senses is due to spiritual light. Both spiritual light and abstention from injury arise doubtless from true wisdom. Therefore, resolve to subdue thy senses with all possible vigor. Let not thy intellect deviate from true knowledge, and restrain thy heart from worldly temptations that surround it. Learned Brahmanas described this subjugation of the senses to be true wisdom, and this wisdom is the path by which learned men proceed to their goal. Kesava is not obtainable by men who have not subdued their senses. He that hath subdued his senses desireth spiritual knowledge, awakened by the knowledge of scriptures and the pleasure of yoga absorption. Dhritarashtra said, I request thee to tell me again of the lotus-eyed Krishna, for being acquainted with the import of his names, I may obtain that most exalted of male beings. Sanjaya said, the auspicious names have been previously heard by me. Of those I will tell thee as many as I know. Kesava, however, is immeasurably, being above the power of speech to describe. He is called Vasudeva in consequence of his enveloping all creatures with the screen of illusion, or of his glorious splendor, or of his being the support and resting place of the gods. He is called Vishnu because of his all-pervading nature. He is called Madhava because of his practicing as a Muni, concentration of mind on truth and yoga absorption. He is called Madhusudana because of his having slain the Asura, Madhu, and because of his being the substance of the 24 objects of knowledge. Born of the Satyavata race, he is called Krishna because he uniteth in himself what are implied by the two words Krishi, which signifieth what existeth, and Na, which signifieth eternal peace. He is called Pundarika Kisha, from Pundarika, implying his high and eternal abode, and Akisha, implying indestructibly, and he is called Janardana because he striketh fear into the hearts of all wicked beings. He is called Satyavata because the attribute of Sattva is never dissociated from him, and because he is never dissociated from it. And he is called Vrishabhihakishana, from Vrishabhiha, implying the Vedas, and Ikishana, implying I, the union of the two, signifying that the Vedas are his eye, or the Vedas are the eyes through which he may be seen. That conqueror of hosts is called Aja, or unborn, because he hath not taken his birth from any being in the ordinary way. That supreme soul is called Damodara, because, unlike the gods, his effulgence is increate in his own, and also because he hath self-control and great splendor. He is called his Hikesa, from his Hika, meaning eternal happiness, and Isa, meaning the six divine attributes, the union signifying on having joy, happiness, and divinity. He is called Mahavahu, because he upholdeth the earth and the sky with his two arms. He is called Adihakishaja, because he never falleth down or suffereth in deterioration, and is called Narayana, from his being the refuge of all human beings. He is called Purusottama, from Puru, implying he that createth and preserveth, and so meaning he that destroyeth, the union signifying on that createth, preserveth, and destroyeth the universe. He possesseth a knowledge of all things, and therefore is called Sarva. Krishna is always in truth, and truth is always in him, and Govinda is truth. Therefore he is called Satya. He is called Vishnu because of his prowess, and Jishnu because of his success. He is called Ananta from his eternity, and Govinda from his knowledge of speech of every kind. He maketh the unreal appear as real, and thereby beguileth all creatures. Possessed of such attributes, ever devoted to righteousness, and endowed with divinity, this layer of Madhu, that might armed on, incapable of decay, will come hither for preventing the slaughter of the Kurus. The Dhritarashtra said, I envy those gifted with sight, who will behold before them that Vasudeva, whose body endowed with great beauty, shineth with effulgence, illuminating the cardinal and subsidiary points of the compass, who will give utterance to words that will be listened to with respect by the Viharatas, words that are auspicious to the Srinjayas, acceptably by those desirous of prosperity, faultless in every respect, and unacceptably by those that are doomed to death, who is full of high resolves, eternal, possessed of unrivaled heroism, who is the bull of the Yadavas and their leader, and who is the slayer and away in spirits of all foes, and who is the destroyer of the fame of every enemy. The assembled Kauravas will behold that high-souled and adorably on, that slayer of foes, that chief of the Vrishnis, uttering words full of kindness, and fascinating all of my party. I put myself in the hand of that eternal on, that rich endowed with knowledge of self, that ocean of eloquence, that being who is easily attainable by ascetics, that bird called Arista, furnished with beautiful wings, that destroyer of creatures, that refuge of the universe, that on of 1,000 heads, that creator and destroyer of all things, that ancient on, that on without beginning, middle, or end, that on of infinite achievements, that cause of the prime seed, that unborn on, that eternity self, that hikes of the high, that creator of the three worlds, that author of gods, Asuras, Nagas, and Hakishasas, that foremost of all learned persons and rulers of men, that younger brother of Indra,